Yes, yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 267.5 of the Triple Shots and Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct. With the homie JP, we got Tyler in the house,
Yo.
and I be your host, the MOOD to the Z. Moodz, yeah. What's going on, dudes?
Well, coming back for 1975.5.
Yeah, man, this is the extended list, 25 to 11. We're missing a couple of the homies this time. I'm not 100% sure. Did Carly actually make a list, or she just wasn't going to?
I don't think she had I mean, she probably could have threw together a list, but I think that she watched a lot of this stuff so long ago that it would have been a little tough for her to remember stuff. And she was just kind of exhausted, had a busy week and stuff like that. Plus, we're starting later. So she just bowed out. And then Tony, you said, I think is sick.
Yeah, Tony's not feeling good tonight. So he was actually in till a couple hours ago, and then he had to throw in the towel. Said he's been dealing with a migraine and stuff like that. So I just told him to send his list over to myself, and we'll just continue along with the same order. So I'll read off Tony's number 25, and then we'll just continue same order. So I'm assuming you probably checked out the 7.5 hour marathon show before you're checking out the extended list, because that would be weird. or
Yep.
or you could do this first and go 25 to 11 and then check out the top 10. It is what it is, but
Yeah, that would actually be better to do.
yeah.
That would require you knowing that we were going to post this.
But that actually would be a little bit of spoilers too, because
because I guarantee you something.
There's
comes
films
up.
in these lists and these bottom parts that made other people's top 10s, and we'll probably mention that. So
yeah, true.
But yeah, with that said, man, I mean, yeah, this is what it is. It's top 25. I mean, we had to do a top 25. 1975 was a really strong, fun year. Me and Tyler even talked about it too. I was like, man, I could have easily done a top 30. I left off a few films that I enjoyed to the point where I would feel comfortable even making a top 30 list, which is pretty crazy. So 75 was just solid. It's a solid, fun year, man. Like a lot of variety of films. And I was kind of looking at our list after the fact and stuff like that, and I was like, it was pretty interesting. I think there was 14 unique films on our list, which is interesting, right? Like everybody had a couple unique films on their list that no one else has. If you didn't understand what I meant there, there was a few repeats. Like I had like a couple. Me and JP had the most in common. We had 6 of the same. But otherwise, our lists were actually quite different. Like everybody had unique films to their own lists and stuff. So 14 films is quite a bit, right? That's quite a bit.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I think.
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming on these extended lists we'll probably have some more films that don't make either of anyone's list and stuff like that. I already see one on Tony's list that I didn't even watch. so I'm like, that's got to be unique too. So
yeah, that's interesting that we had the most common. That's usually doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. I thought that was really interesting too. I think it was me and you had 6. And then I think I had like 3 or 4 with everyone else. Yeah, it was kind of interestingly odd because like you're right. Like we usually don't have that, but we didn't have the usual, number 1 to number 10 type thing that always seems to happen with us. That didn't happen this time.
Yeah.
Like my number 1's your number 10.
That would be wild if
anyone.
Yeah.
It's funny because if we did this list the first week, Race with the Devil would have been my number 10, and that would have been someone's number. No, that wasn't anybody's number 1. Just kidding.
No, I predicted it would be Moodz.
Yeah, I thought it was someone's number 1 for a second, because last time my number 10 was your number 1.
It's funny how that happens sometimes.
Yeah, it is very strange. I just can't believe how many times it's happened with me and you, though. It's really bizarre. Like it's actually pretty strange. Like, I mean, it gets to the point where people are probably thinking that we're doing it on purpose, but we're quite obviously not doing it on purpose, because that would be ridiculous. We would know our list then. But anyways, with that said, we might as well just jump right into these top 25 lists.
Yep.
So since Tony's not here, he's here in spirit right now. I'm going to read off his number 25, and then we'll just continue along with the same order. So it'll be Tony's list, and then JP, then me, then Tyler.
Yep.
Right? Because Carly. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So Tony's number 25 with a 7 out of 10. I guess I don't have to give the rating first. But anyways, is a film called Young Dracula. Did anybody watch this?
No.
I don't even know if I even saw this anywhere, like on any list or not. I didn't even have this on
Yeah,
a
I
list of
don't
films that
think
I
that
didn't
was even
watch.
on my watch list. That's is was
Yeah,
it like a Disney movie or something?
I have no idea. I was looking at like right away. I was like, "What is Young Dracula?" Because there was a few films that I passed on, I didn't watch and stuff, but that was not on one of my lists on any list. So I don't know what it
Did
is, man.
I didn't
did you
watch
watch it?
that. No, I didn't watch that. My cat just tried to climb over the back of the computer and was like reaching over the top of me. I had to kick him out.
Bastard fucking cats. But
So
anyways, he gave that one a 7 out of 10. So his number 25 is starting with a 7. So I mean, that's pretty solid, man.
mhm.
Pretty solid stuff. So
Yeah, so Tyler, did you even know of that movie, Young Dracula?
No,
Me
that one I
neither. Where the hell
completely.
did you find that at? Okay. All right, cool. So my number 25 is a movie that I just couldn't leave off some list. Because I kind of love this movie, and it's probably like a movie that I didn't really expect to care for that much, but I was sort of like just it was just so fun. And that is Criminally Insane.
Okay.
Um
oh, you put criminal. Oh, wow, crazy.
yeah, it's just a really like simple, cool slasher. I love the crazy Ethel character, and I thought that it was gross, and the blood is like really red, which is just funny.
It's paint.
But that vinegar syndrome transfer probably helped my viewing
Mm.
experience a little bit.
Dude, I was watching that Blu-ray going, this is fucking crazy because I have like the old double feature DVD and it looks
Mhm.
like shit. Like
I bet it does.
it's like unwatchable. It's like so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. Did you listen to the intro that I made for the top 10 show?
Yes, I
The
did
the
actually.
sample that I used in there for that?
Yeah. Mhm.
I had to put one from that because that actually made me laugh out loud when I was watching the movie. I was like, oh, that shit's funny to me, man. But
Yeah.
so,
So yeah, Criminally Insane, I give that one a 7 out of 10.
cool. All right. Tyler.
Okay.
Oh no, it's me.
Um, yeah, I
Fuck,
thought
what?
it was you. I was just gonna roll.
I'm already fucking up the order. I already fucking. It's tripping me out because we don't have Carly. It's just it's weirding me out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 25 for myself is the Stepford Wives.
Oh, okay, so it made you 25 then.
Yeah, yeah. I do like. I mean, obviously, I mean, I give it an 8 out of 10. You know, I mean, the Stepford Wives is Stepford Wives. I mean, we talked about it in the top 10. It obviously was on that. Some people's. I can't remember whose list it made. Did it make more than one list? Did it make
He
two
made
lists?
three.
Yeah,
It
it
made three
made
lists. Yeah.
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 I mean, The Stepford Wives is a good film, and it's like I said in the show too. It's one of those films I am so baffled as to why it doesn't have a better release. I
Mhm.
was like looking into it a little bit today, and I was like, because I couldn't remember what company produced it. It's Columbia, which is like a sister
Sony? Is that Sony now?
Sony. It is Sony. Sony owns that's one of the sub uh, companies for Sony.
Subsidiaries.
Yeah, for Sony. And I'm like, okay, it would make sense if it was one of the sister or the companies that Disney owns, that why it wasn't put out in a good release, or whatever. But why Sony? Like Sony puts out shit. Like they're not as bad as Paramount. Like Sony puts out shit, but like, why does this movie that's so popular not have? Okay, what really pissed me off, and I
I'm
was looking into
starting
it.
to feel like it's a film elements thing.
It's got to have something in there, right? There's obviously
Yeah.
something, but I can't find any information. I literally looked to see why, and nobody has any clue
But
what
you
to
know
as
what?
to.
The transfer that I watched, I'm pretty sure was like a HD
Somebody
transfer.
The
might have just
transfer
done
I
one
watched
themselves
on
though, too,
MB
right?
was the one I watched on MB was like it seemed like it was a DVD. It
Yeah,
was the
I
worst thing
watched
I've
my old
ever
DVD.
seen,
Like
but like yeah,
it
it
was
wasn't the worst
frustrating.
thing, but for a movie like this, it's like unacceptable.
It's
Hmm.
frustrating to watch a movie like Stepford Wives on an old DVD that
Yeah,
could look so good because it's shot well.
yeah.
It's done on good
Honestly, though,
film stock. Like
I'm
this thing could look really
actually
good.
I'm actually a little excited for 92 because I get to break out my Dead Alive DVD, which is really like the only DVD left in my like collection that I watch
It's
like
funny
it's a
though,
viewing every year or two.
when we did Dead Live on 22 shots. Actually, we didn't do it even that long ago, right?
No, it wasn't that long ago.
but I watch the DVD too because that's what I do.
What's
And it's
that's
funny
what's
because
there.
that movie shot so low budget, like the DVD just feels right for some reason. But
Yeah.
apparently the Blu-ray, that big out of print expensive Blu-ray, doesn't even look much better.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
something.
I've
It
heard
was a
that
very
too.
early
So,
Blu-ray. It's like
because
not
I
even a
remember
good
someone
one.
even saying to me one time, I mentioned this in an old top 10 Tuesday video or something like that about how, I missed out on the Blu-ray. And someone commented and said, don't even worry about it, man. The DVD looks the same as the Blu-ray anyways. People are paying these outrageous
Yeah,
prices for this Blu-ray that it looks like it's basically not even an upkeep. I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, well, that's good to know. So, whatever. But, anyways, I digress. What really frustrated me about the Stepford Wives is that the remake that came out in the mid 2000s, whatever, has a Blu-ray release, and I'm like, really? Okay, of course.
Yeah, that's what makes me think it's not a rights thing. If they were able to get a remake done, like I feel like they can figure out film distribution rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I
So
mean,
Sony isn't great for re-releasing their properties, honestly, from my memory.
and
Yeah,
you are correct on that for sure. But I get it with certain titles that Sony has and stuff. But the Stepford Wives isn't just your average everyday title. It's a
yeah.
very pop culture type. I mean, The Simpsons had parodied it. I mean,
This is the
if it made
thing
The
though,
Simpsons, it should have a better release.
Mhm.
like this is the thing about this. So if it's Sony, then Disney has it, and like Disney just doesn't give a fuck about
Wait,
releasing
Disney on
stuff.
Sony?
Does Disney not own Sony?
No, they don't. I looked
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
into it
dang.
today.
stupid. Don't listen to what I
No,
said.
that's why I
Fact
looked
check
into it.
Tyler making his debut early
I
tonight.
literally looked into this today because I wasn't sure if they owned Sony or not because I can't remember who
They
owns
own
what. Because
everything now. I'm getting
yeah,
confused.
and that's
They own
exactly what my point is because I
Fox.
was like,
Yeah,
they
that's
do.
probably
They
what it
own
was.
20th Century. It's not even called 20th Century Fox anymore. It's 20th Century something else, or whatever. But they do own that whole catalog, which is fucking insanely shitty.
Yeah,
because
this
it gets,
Alien movie was a Disney movie.
yeah,
Does that
exactly. They
I heard
own
people saying, does that mean that Alien Queen is like a Disney princess now or something?
yes. Right. I hate that
Yeah,
Disney owns all that shit, dude, because we're just not going to get
They
any
have a David
releases.
Lynch movie too. That's like the only like David Lynch movie like without like a Blu-ray or 4K.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Um, but anyways, yeah, it's the Stepford Wives at number 25. Everybody knows the Stepford Wives. I don't gotta really bring up anything else about it. So Tyler, you're number 25.
Okay, number 25 is a movie I hadn't seen before, and I thought it was kind of going to be like a kind of a goofy, schlocky movie, and it just absolutely wasn't. And that's Bug. Bug
Nice.
was like a lot like more serious and like darker than I thought it was. It wasn't really like a killer bug movie. It was like more of like this like tormented scientist that's like completely like brought
The
like
third act definitely goes
yeah.
into that territory.
Yeah, it's like he's like so tormented by his like guilt and like his grief and his like passion to like understand these to understand like the bugs that like it just drives him to madness into like really cool places. It's almost like a psychological character study. The idea of like it was these super bugs that came up like from the Earth's core after an earthquake, and yeah,
Exploding cockroaches, bro.
You know
yeah,
what?
it was
We could just redirect them to the full-on review that we did on 22 Shots on
yeah.
what zoology show?
Volume 1.
That was the first. That's cockroaches, right? Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so check out that for a better for a better take
More
on
in-depth review of that
more
one.
depth review. Yeah, I'm not gonna go on and on about a lot
No,
of
we've
these.
covered it.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a cool movie and it kind of surprised me because I didn't think it was gonna be like a movie like that serious.
Yeah. What's your rating?
6.5.
Cool.
So you're starting out at 6.5s. I started out at 8s. Tony at 7. And that actually shocked me that Tony started out at 7 because like he rates shit pretty fucking high.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like
Well, he was dying that like we were at like number 8 and I was already rating movies higher than him. He's like, what is going on?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's so bizarre, right? That's so bizarre. Like I honestly it's crazy how many 8s I have in this 25 to 11. It's actually
Yeah.
crazy.
Shit.
So oh yeah, Tony. It's back to Tony. Shit, I forgot. Okay, so Tony's number 24 is Eyeball. He went to
Okay.
Italy with Eyeball, and he gave that bad bitch a 7 out of 10.
Nice.
Right.
All right. My number 24 is a movie that I don't really remember a whole lot, but I remember thinking it was pretty cool. It also did make Harley's list, I believe, and that is Poor Pretty Eddie.
Mm. I'm glad that you guys liked that movie a lot. Like, I thought it was good,
Mhm.
but I was shocked to see that even in top tens, or even top 25. Like, it's pretty cool. It was a cool find. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'd
Yeah,
never.
I liked the acting a good bit in that one.
Mhm.
I remember that about it at least. Like the lead actress was good and Eddie was weird.
He was good though. He was good.
Yeah. But yeah, I gave that one a 7.5
I was
out of
shocked to
10.
find, like, when I was doing my research and just trying to pick out some films that I didn't own and stuff, and I was shocked to find a Blu-ray of that movie and for really cheap. And it didn't look.
Yeah,
Wasn't it
who put
wasn't it
that
a
out?
it's a
I can't,
Warner archive, right?
no, it's not a warrant. It's I don't.
Oh.
It's like some weird company. It's like not even like a boutique thing. It's not even like a major studio thing. It's like a. It's weird. It's not even a gray market either. It's an actual company, but like it's
Huh.
nothing that you would really even recognize. But I found it for like super cheap, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'll pick that up, man. I'll give it a shot or whatever. But yeah, it was it was fun. What'd you give that one?
7.5.
7.5. Okay. All right. So my number 24. So we're gonna leave the US and we're gonna go over to Spain with a film called The Werewolf and the Yeti, also known as Night of the Howling Beast. And I
Mhm.
think there might even be a couple other names on there, but of course, this is a Paul Naschy film, and this is one of his 9 or 12 movies that he did under. He used the same character basically in about 9 or 10, 12 movies or something. The Vladimir Daninsky character, right, where he plays the werewolf. So if you're familiar with Paul Naschy, all of his werewolf films, basically, he's the same character name in all these films, but they're not related. They're different stories. So it's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, this movie kind of sticks out to me in the Naschy catalog
It's
because,
like Coffin Joe, right? Like they're
yeah,
not
right,
really related, but
right.
he plays the same character.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's at least a dozen of these Vladimir Daninsky films. It's crazy. But this one kind of sticks out to me. You can check this one. It's got a decent release. I think it's on one of the Screen Factory Paul Naschy sets, volume one or volume two, whatever. Check it out on there. It's I think this is probably like the seventh or eighth one in the whole cycle of them. It's later on. It's obviously. But this one sticks out to me because it was actually banned in the UK at the time. I think it might have been a video nasty or whatever. But it's because it's a weird Naschy film in the fact that like it's bona fide the most sleazy one. It has the most
Nice.
nudity out of any Naschy film, and it has the most blood and gore. It really sticks out because you think with all the Naschy films that he did, or all the werewolf films that Naschy did, like you think that a few of them would be a little bit more bloody and gory, but this is the one that really sticks out. It's basically about he's on this uh they basically go out to like this area to go find this Yeti, right? And he gets kidnapped by these two kind of cannibalistic, like whatever you want to call them, nymphomaniacs or kind of thing, and they make him his sex slave. And not only do they make him their sex slave, they turn him into a werewolf, and it kind of goes from there and stuff. So there's always a different storyline to how he becomes the werewolf and stuff. But this one, it always stuck out to me. I was like, damn, dude, like if you watch a bunch of Naschy films in a row, this one will stick out to you, like I said, because it's more gory, it's more sleazy. It's odd. It's odd that this one in the whole catalog is like this, but it is. And it's fun. I think it's a fun movie. It moves at a great pace and stuff, and it's got a lot of good things. A lot of the sets are really cool. And of course, Naschy does a really good job in the film too, playing, himself, and then of course the werewolf character. Like he always plays like kind of dual characters in like almost every movie, right? If you guys are familiar with Naschy, you would know that about him. Even, I talked about Naschy in my top 10 also. Play multiple characters in that film too. So it's something he does, and it's something I very, very much enjoy. But I'm a huge Naschy fan. So another Paul Naschy film making the list from 75. I also give that one an 8 out of 10. There's going to be a nice run of 8 out of 10s on here. So, but yeah, that's my number 24. Tyler.
All right. So we're gonna go from the US over to France for this one. This one is from a filmmaker I'm honestly usually not that hot on, but I did like this one. It is Jean Rollin's Lips of Blood.
I knew as soon as you said you're not that hot on, and I was like, okay, it's got to be Jean Rollin. But
Yeah.
I
Uh,
personally love, like, honestly, Jean Rollin doesn't have many films. Like, I like his horror films. I don't really like his, like, his other films that he's done. Like he's done some other types of, I'm not a big fan. But like his films from basically like Rape with a Vampire, holy shit, we totally just got fucking flagged on that because I said the title of a movie.
Yep.
But anyways, from that point up until like the early 80s stuff, like he had a crazy run of good films, man. Like for
Yeah.
me, there's like no misses in there, man, in my opinion. So
I've kind of sometimes I've accused them of kind of having almost like plotless things just to get chicks naked.
Yeah.
But
he did do
this
pornos. He did do pornos, right? He shot pornos. So
But
it does make he's a little bit sleazy.
I think like the thing about like Roland is like atmosphere.
yeah,
He's
and
good at mood.
that's exactly what separated this movie from the rest I've seen by him because I thought this had really good atmosphere. I thought it was just like really moody and like melancholic. It had like a really like muted gray like color grading and there was just like a lot of like really nice shots and it was like almost like a different take on like the vampire subgenre, which sometimes it's another genre I'm not like always the hottest on. But I thought like he did like he did a really good job like kind of just maximizing his style in this movie. It's kind of like this like avant-garde like high use of artifice, so, like just very picturesque style, and I like that. And I was able to get into this one more than his other films, and this one
Hmm.
kind of ripped by. But yeah, what else it does too is like when it's not using the music, like it was really good at just like using like the silence as like atmosphere. That's like really hard to do sometimes, but it was done here well, and that's the things that like really stick out about the movie for me. And it was honestly probably one of the better movies in atmosphere this year. But yeah, that one will be my 24, 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel it's interesting that you talk about like the atmosphere of this film. Like Lips of Blood has the same location as like a bunch of films in his filmography. Like it's shot in the
Mhm.
same shoreline. I think he uses the same castle in like a bunch of his films too. Like I feel like from like I said from the Rape of the Vampire up to this point, like a lot of his films were shot at the same points and stuff, and they all feel very similar to me. He has this. You're right though. Like his atmosphere that he creates, man, is just like holy shit, dude. It's so thick. It's incredibly thick, man. I really like the storyline in this movie too. It's kind of interesting how like how it develops, and I like that whole aspect of like the whole like seeing things and it's got to relate to you kind of something. I need to go and investigate this type of thing. I like that shit, man. I'm a sucker for that type of shit, man. But yeah, the twins in this movie are really cool though. Very iconic, actually.
Yeah, lots of good shots with like them side by side with like
Yeah,
good framing and
right.
nice.
Cool. All right, so Tom's Tony's fuck. I just said Tom because somebody liked my photo on Instagram. Their name was Tom. It just said Tom liked your photo. I'm like, what the fuck? Your Instagram name is Tom? That's funny. It's got to be a fucking bot. Um, so number 23 for Tony is another Italian film called The Killer Must Kill Again. And he gave that one a 7 out of 10.
Nice.
Interesting. All right.
All right. My number 23 is probably a movie I don't think made any of you guys' list. I've never even grew up like a big fan of these movies, but over the years, like I've really kind of like enjoyed them. We've covered, not covered, but there have been so many years because so many of these movies. There's been so many years where one has been on a prep list, and that is Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Okay.
Wow. I did
Um,
not I did not see this making your top 25. That's
you did not
crazy.
have Terror Mechagodzilla on your bingo card for me.
I watched this on the Criterion channel.
I think this
Um,
movie is fucking it makes me laugh so I don't know what it is about this one, man. I was pissing myself watching
I
it.
thought it was
It's fun.
goofy. Yeah,
It is
it's
super
yeah,
funny.
it
goofy.
is
It's
goofy.
Shiro Honda directed it too, right?
It's this whole era, man. This like the 70 to like 75, like this end of that era is so goofy, dude.
Mhm.
These movies are
I think
goofy.
there's even one. There's a Godzilla film in '92. I think maybe
Yeah.
Nice.
there might be. I can't remember, but yeah. You know, Mecha Godzilla, Dinosaurus, or whatever the hell the other monster is, aliens, black holes, stuff like that. It's silly, it's goofy, got some, you know, fun kaiju scenes of destruction. I don't know. The Godzilla movies have slowly turned me into a fan. I didn't grow up with them. I've always loved the first Godzilla, but not a big fan of that fucking moth. But um, it's like I don't know. I've just they're easy watches, especially during these prep years because they're so different from everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always like a bright spot in the prep where I'm like, oh, cool, I get to watch a Godzilla movie. Um, because typically we don't get like a bunch of kaiju movies or anything like that, like during these preps. So, it's usually just like a Godzilla movie. So, I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Cute, cute. All right, so number 23 for myself is The Devil's Reign. Um, this one's
You know
got
what? That was a movie, dude, that like I know it was a good movie, like watching it. Like, and I'm like, this is pretty good. Like it feels like right at home in 75. And like the acting's really strong and it's like a like well-made movie, but for some reason it took me like multiple watches to get through it because I couldn't get into it that much. But I felt like I should.
yeah,
So
I
I don't
mean,
know if it was like
I kind of felt the same way as you did. Like I felt like there
really.
was like good stuff going on, and like I felt like I should have liked more because Ernest Borgnine's in it too. And I don't know, it's just didn't hit for me.
I always thought this movie was so much fun, man. I like the whole, I like these like cult films from the like literally satanic cult films from the 70s and shit. But yeah, you're right. Like Ernest Borgnine it's pretty crazy that he's in this movie. Um, his character's fucking awesome. But of course, the homie William Shatner's in this one, hamming it up as usual. He's fucking great. And this is actually one thing that a lot of people kind of forget about this movie is that it's actually the film debut of John Travolta. He has like a quick little part in this film. Um,
It's kind of funny.
one little kind of, I just read this trivia thing right here. It says Ernest Borgnine revealed at a convention panel in 2010 that the movie was financed with mafia money and that he was never paid for his work on the film. That makes it even fucking better. But what I always take away from this movie is William Shatner's performance. Like he fucking hams it up. Like Shatner in a lot of his films in the 60s and 70s, man, he was notorious for hamming the shit up, man. It was great. But I like the effects in this film, like the melty effects and shit like that. Like when it goes down in the third act. And so I love those. I love melty effects. It's just like, which actually kind of plays into something that I found out today. I didn't even realize that they were remaking Street Trash and it's supposed to be out this year. Speaking of like melty shit and stuff, I was like, that's fucking crazy. But anyways, digress back into the movie Devil's Reign. It's fun. It's fun. I feel like it's a quick little watch. You know, it's solid, man. It looks really damn good on Blu-ray too, man. Severn did a good job with it. So, but anyways, I give that one 8 out of 10. I've watched this movie numerous times over the years. I think it's a pretty fun one. So, yeah, Tyler.
Okay, number 23, one we've already talked about. And that is Poor Pretty Eddie. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, I like this movie too. It was just like an easy watch. It was just kind of like a fusion of like the psycho like character, combined with like almost like a redneck. So that was cool. And it's just what really like I remember the most from this movie is just like the Shelley Winters character. I just remember her like playing off of Eddie, like had me like laughing all movie, and I just like this was such like a brisk watch, like all the way through. Um, but yeah, it's really just like a short, trashy, like kind of like fun movie. That's just what you need sometimes. So yeah, or Pretty Eddie, 6.5 out of 10.
nice.
Nice.
Nice. I was not expecting to see that on the list, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like gotta have some fun on there.
All right, so Tony's number 22 is The Love Butcher with a
Yeah.
7.5 out of 10 rating. JP.
I can't really remember that one too much, but I think I gave it like a 7 or 6.5 or something.
That was another
Okay.
Psycho ripoff.
Yep. Okay, my number 22, taking it from Japan to Italy, with a film titled Strip Nude for Your Killer, directed by Andre Bianchi. Um, also, we have the beautiful Edwidge
I
Panic.
say Fennec, but
Yeah.
in the movie. It's a pretty good giallo. It has something that I didn't remember watching it this time was it kind of has a really cool ending.
mhm.
Um, and I kind of like the killer a good bit and like the motorcycle gear and shit. It's pretty different for giallo, but still the same because it's like still leather, black gloves. But yeah, it's a little sleazy, good stuff. 7.5 out of 10.
uh, cool, man. So number 22 for myself, we're gonna head back to, or we're gonna go from the U.S. to Italy and strip nude for your killer.
Really?
Yeah,
At 22?
yeah, number 22.
That's so weird.
I mean, a lot of these films could be interchanged. It's like
I know, but
Yeah.
like the fact that we both had it at 22 is kind of odd.
it is, yeah. No, it's a fun movie, man. It's super sleazy, man. There's a lot of muff in this movie. the look of the look of the killer is awesome, man. It's got beautiful women like Edward Fenech is in the film. Femi Benusi, she's been in tons of Italian films. You know who she is, man. If you saw her, you'd recognize her. Lots of good character Italian actors in this one, but I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of like a standard, but really, really fun Giallo. JP said it, man. The ending's really good in this one too. But we covered this one on 22 shots. So if you want a full review, check out whatever episode that is,
Mhm.
from Andre Bianchi. So yeah, number 22. Tyler.
All right. My number 22 is probably one of the more unique films on my top 25. It's Requiem for a Village. You guys watch this?
Nope.
So this
No, I
is
don't think so.
so this is a British TV movie. Sam actually recommended to me way back to watch this, so I threw this on the list.
Wow.
And this was actually really cool. It's basically the story of this this graveyard keeper in England, and he's of this like kind of like rustic village, and industrialization is starting to come to like that way of life, and basically grow over the town that uh grow over the town like the rustic town, and it's like his memories like connecting the past with the present, and like it has this cool like graveyard like rising through the dead scene, and it's only 68 minutes long, but it does kind of like dot a little, and I think it's a little held back by its TV limitations, but it was really atmospheric, and I thought it was like one of the more like interesting like attempts at a story, and it was like a lot different than a lot of things this year. And it was again like kind of going back to that folklore that I tend to lean towards. But that's definitely one I'd recommend. I'm pretty sure I watched it like on Prime somewhere or on YouTube. But it's like 68 minutes long. Requiem for a Village. I'm gonna
Hmm.
stick with 6.5 out of 10.
Hmm. Crazy. No, I did not. That was nowhere on my radar. So another unique film, I guess. Cool. Uh, Number 21 on Tony's list is Criminally Insane with a seven and a
Nice.
half out of 10.
I'm
That's
saying making like
awesome.
three lists somewhere. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
Dude, no,
Nice.
when I watched that movie on my iPad, I took like when I had an hour spare on a bus ride one day, like knowing absolutely nothing about that movie, like pre 4K release with that transfer, would I have matched that movie made three lists? That's crazy.
Yeah, and one of them was the top 10.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, my number 21 is a film that Tyler mentioned at the top of the show. It is Bug. Big
All
fan of
right.
this one. I've always liked it. I had an old MGM DVD back in the day. I upgraded the Scream Factory Blu-ray when that came out. I love killer animal movies in general. I have a particular love for killer insect movies for some reason. And exploding cockroaches is pretty cool. But I also just love the setting of this one, like the desert setting, and like we talked about that a lot in the review back when we reviewed that film on the cockroaches episode of zoology. Um, good, and honestly, like the psychological aspects are pretty fun. Like I love when the cockroach starts spelling out words and shit like that. It's creepy. But I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right, so number 21 is, so we're gonna leave Italy and we're gonna go to Japan for this one with a film called Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees. Um, this is a great movie, man. Really, really good. Um, was it just on your list,
Yeah, I think it
Tyler?
was just on mine because I was actually a little surprised. I thought that would have made some other lists.
Yeah, I personally I did like that movie. Um, I thought well, first of all, like the opening to that movie is so ridiculous where he just starts, she's like, kill all your wives. And he's like, well, they're maids. And then he just like kills all his wives, like running around the forest, like chasing them down, going in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
just
I
it's
was
it,
like,
murdering
yeah, I
everybody.
was like the most drunk when I was talking about this movie. I listened to it back, and one thing that like I did leave out is like I love like the scenes of him like in the city actually like beheading these dudes.
I know, like when he ends up in the city and shit, like that's when this movie just turns like total bad
Yeah,
shit. But
I
like it
love when he
starts
just like
out bad shit. It,
dropping from the ceiling like oh, just like
yeah, dude, it
destroying
goes
like four
totally
dudes.
crazy when he gets into the city. It's just fucking bad shit. But this movie shot so well. It looks beautiful. Like
Oh yeah,
great
especially
sets.
like when they actually have
Man,
like the cherry tree, whatever the fuck those things are.
Yeah,
yeah, man, it looks really
Yeah.
fucking good,
yeah,
man.
and
Like there's
I
a lot of
fucking
good cinematography in
love
this.
love the ending to this movie. This might be my favorite ending of the year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the whole story is really cool, man. I really dig what what's going on with this one. I would love to see a great release of this. Honestly can't believe
I'm
this movie.
hoping like they've put out multiple films from this guy. He's like
It's
really
it'll come.
yeah,
It'll
and he
come.
he
It's a
really is like
Criterion
one of
movie,
the
hands down.
yeah. Well, they own the rights to like all this guy's movies. I have a couple of movies from him on my shelf already. Like he
Mhm.
actually is like an important director from the golden like the golden age, like in the 50s and 60s. And they just announced that movie Demon Pond on 4K that he also
Mhm.
directed, and that's
Right.
like less popular than this movie. So that seems
Yeah.
a little weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad, man. This one hasn't got more shine because I think
Yeah,
people really
this one
dig this one.
actually
But
kind of has like developed a cult following in the art house circles the last few years just because of the director. People are like really into like the golden age now, the golden age Japanese movies now, because everyone's seen like all the Kurosawa and like
mhm.
Ozu and like Masaki movies, so they're like going to like looking for just like deeper cuts in that movement. He's like one of the more popular guys to come out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy the lengths that this dude will go to, man. It just fucking blows my mind, dude. Like it's actually shocking when you watch because you don't think it's gonna be ultimately that violent and shit, and like just like this is crazy, man. There's so much cool shit going on in this movie. But anyways, yeah, I give it 8 out of 10, man. It's a really good film.
Okay, so my 21. I also have one that made your top 10. I don't think it made anyone else's, and that is Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS.
Yeah, that was one of
This
my
movie,
unique ones. Yep.
yeah, this movie,
Surprised actually. I'm surprised that didn't make another top 10.
Hmm.
yeah, I thought this would have made a couple top tens. But yeah, this movie, like, I kind of expect it to be a little schlocky, but this was like a real movie with like great costume design, like really great, like dirty looking, like you almost felt dirty, like seeing like how nice this is. It's like a certified pervert movie. It's got great cinematography. It's just like it's one of those roles that or one of those movies, I should say, that like it only works if the lead is like super committed to their role, and this woman just like is absolutely committed, and that's what really like carries the movie. Yeah, it's definitely one of the more like grosser, like more mean-spirited, like dirty movies this year. I liked it a lot. It's something different. I kind of just like Nazi movies too. There's a bunch.
Nazi
Uh,
exploitation.
yeah, just that and like I any really like I like all the different ways you can like make movies like from like Nazis and they're all like dirty. So yeah, this one was a nice flavor of the year. I'm gonna stick with my 6.5 out of 10.
Cool. All right. So Tony's number 20 is the amusement park from George A. Romero. And you give
Nice.
that a 7.5 out of 10.
Cool.
JP.
All right, my number 20 is a post-apocalyptic film called A Boy and His Dog. Another
Hmm.
film we've covered way back in the day on 22 shots. I love just like the concept of this movie and like I love post-apocalyptic stuff. The dog and the boy are actually like their relationship is like really weird and funny. The only thing that I don't love about this movie is like the final act. It gets a little boring to me. But I still think it's a pretty fun movie. 7.5 out of 10.
Well, he's a fucking dick, man. He like leaves he leaves his best friend out there because he's like chasing some fucking tail and shit. Like it's so
Yeah,
mean
he's
spirited
he's
too. Like
he's so into like tail. You know what I
exactly,
mean?
man. Like I mean, this is what has got him through this whole ordeal and shit, and then he just abandons that whole thing. It's like fuck, bro. Like you're never gonna survive. You know,
The
come on,
dog's
man.
voice is like really like funny because it's like sophisticated sounding too.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Shit. Yeah, it's a good movie, man. All right, so coming in at number 20 for myself, we are going to leave Japan and head over to France with with Tyler's most disgusting movie of the year, and that's The Beast.
Dude.
Oh my
This is the
God.
grossest movie of the year.
This
This
movie
is
is just fucking it's so fucking bizarre that this piece of cinema exists. Like it really like watching this movie, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm laughing while I'm watching this. This movie made me laugh out loud, like Sallow makes fucking Tyler laugh. Like I was
I could
pissing myself in
not
this movie.
believe what
I
was.
was this movie. It doesn't. It doesn't. It says it's classified as a drama, fantasy, horror, romance. Now I get the
Okay.
romance part because it's part of the narrative, but like in the fantasy part for sure, right? Because it dwells off into like this realm 3 type shit and it's weird. But the drama, I don't know. But like it doesn't classify it as a comedy, which is funny to me because there is so many moments in this movie where I fucking was pissing myself. I was like, that was intended to be funny, right? Like even with the translation, because it's a subtitled French film, and I'm laughing so fucking hard, and I'm still trying to read what's going on. I'm like, and these actors are spitting their lines dead fucking serious. And I'm like, okay, so this is unintentionally funny or it's intentionally done. I have no idea, but I was laughing so hard, man. But it's quirky as fuck. I think the movie's a little bit predictable on who is the beast. I mean, would you say so, Tyler?
Yeah, I
For sure,
think it's kind
because
of
like,
obvious.
so if you're unfamiliar with the storyline of the movie, it's basically about it's kind of like this like setup wedding where this girl is, I guess, in a sense, forced to marry this guy, obviously from a different family and stuff, but it's to like inherit this huge fortune and stuff. It's like this. What do they call it? What do they call those forced weddings? What's the actual
Arranged
Uh,
marriages.
arranged marriages? Yeah, it's like an arranged marriage. They don't know each other. And it's weird too because it's like they're French. I'm like, I've never heard of like arranged marriages in France before. Like I know like in India, like that's a common thing. That's a normal thing to do, right?
I feel like in
Well, we know when
certain
this is.
eras, like I feel like everywhere did
Well,
it.
this is in this
Yeah.
is set in modern times. That's the weird thing too.
Is
So like
it?
you're yeah, in 75, like this is
Aren't they in
modern.
like a fucking stagecoach?
No, they pull up in a Rolls Royce, man. And that's part of the joke. Like it's like super wealthy shit. Like it's fucking it's like everything about this movie is quirky as fuck, dude. Like so anyways, we get introduced to like this girl and like all these weird ass characters in this house and shit. And then it's super like hypersexual too. Like there's this like the I guess the maid and one of the other helpers are always fucking in this movie. It's and this is what made me laugh in the film too, because every time they're fucking, somebody would call his name and he'd have to like jump up and pull his pants up and like I'm just like fuck, this is so
Bro.
ridiculous. There's so much fucking in this movie. It's ridiculous. But then of course this family that's selling off this boy or whatever, they have a secret and people, I mean, I don't want to give it away. This is one of those movies you really can't talk about. You don't want to ruin this shit for people, man. But something is wrong with this family, essentially, and all this crazy shit starts happening. Let's just cut to the chase on this one. Like, there's essentially a lot of gross bestiality in this movie, and there's a lot of cum. It's just there's a lot of fucked up scenes, man. There's a lot of
And
fucked up things that
animals,
are happening. It's super fantastical the way it's shot. Like these scenes are done very fantastical. You're not sure if it's actually like dream sequences or if it's actually really happening. So it has that kind of elements happening. Like it's blurring the lines between like fiction and nonfiction kind of thing. It's like, is it reality? Is it non-reality? It kind of keeps you in check that way and stuff. So there is kind of a mystery to what's going on and stuff. But at the same time, it's like it's super highly sexualized and just nasty and brutal and gross. But I really enjoyed this, man. I was pissing myself, dude. Like, I mean, honestly, when people are getting covered with jizz and shit, I was like, it didn't gross me out. I was laughing, man. I was funny, but like, it's
well,
the
I
way,
could not believe what I was seeing. I was
dude. It
just,
was so unbelievable though because you just didn't think you were going to see that extent of it, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
a
very
lot of this stuff is
graphic.
made me
implied.
gag.
A lot of that stuff is usually implied in movies, and
This is
then you're like,
not.
okay, whatever. But then it's not implied at all, and then it gets worse. It's like pornographic, actually. It's
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 like a
ridiculous.
it's like a super soaker full of comments. Disgusting.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up to see. But in a film that has this weird ass off tone, because like I'm trying to take this shit serious because it literally says it's not a comedy, but everything that these characters, like the dialogue that's being spit in this film, had me rolling. I was laughing so hard. And I kept looking at it going, it doesn't say it's a comedy. Is it my dark sense of humor that's making me laugh, or was it legitimately funny? Because I was like, okay, this has got to be done on purpose. It can't just be me. I don't know.
I
Like,
do give the film credit for like
It's
letting you
different.
know what kind of movie
Yeah.
you're getting like right away with the horses.
right.
Yeah. Oh
Oh, dude,
God.
that actually,
I didn't
that
think it
was,
was gonna get worse.
that opening scene was disgusting because when you see that shit falling out the vagina and the horse starts
Oh,
licking, I'm like, oh my God, dude.
God.
Because if you know anything about horse loads, like
Dude,
they
okay.
shoot
Oh,
like liters. Like it's gross.
yeah. Oh God.
But it sets it up for the whole movie. And like, that's the opening shot in the movie.
Yep.
And no pun intended there, opening shot. That's kind of funny. But, anyways, yeah, The Beast. I don't want to ruin too much if you've never seen the film. I actually highly recommend it, man, if you can stomach this type of weird kind of shit and stuff. But it's shot beautifully. It's acted well. I think it's a well-made movie. It's just got bizarre content. It really has a bizarre content to it. So
I mean, I like it because it's unique. Like
it's very unique.
it's not forgettable, you know what I mean? Like I'd
Yeah,
seen
it's
this
definitely not
I've seen
forgettable.
this couple years ago, and it never really completely left my memory.
This is one of those movies from 1975 that just adds to the overall effect and flavor of 75 because like we just talked about Ilsa and we've talked about Sallow in this film. Like these are three films that really stick out in the year. Like they are hard fucking core. Like Sallow is its own little beast. This is literally its own little beast. Ilsa is its own little fucking unique craziness too. Like there's a lot of different flavors from 75 that you're getting, man. Like you go hardcore extreme shit to like you got still the Italian giallo. Like, it's all over the place, man. 75 is a really fun year, but those three films, man, that came out in the same year is crazy. Like you
Yeah.
have to admit that three films like that come out in the same year is fucked up. Really fucked up. But glad to see that they're getting some shine anyways. So but yeah, The Beast is my number 20. 8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. So
Okay. All right, we're gonna make a trip back to the US again for a film that's been mentioned a bunch of times throughout the shows, and that's Trilogy of Terror. Trilogy of Terror is just turn your brain off on. It's super short, and all three segments are good, and all three segments are not long. And the best one's the last one. So I think that's something that's always like kind of kept me coming back to this movie at least every couple of years. I had the Blu-ray for this before I was a Kino collector. Yeah, it's just one of those movies that's just like super easy to watch and something like I've always enjoyed. The last segment with the Zulu Warrior doll is like a testament to like just ingenuity because all they did was shake some little doll and maybe play some noises and it scared everyone. And it still really kind of holds up today. But yeah, good little flick. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty staple.
Have
So
you ever
it's
seen the second one, Tyler?
I have not.
It's interesting because the second one opens up directly after the first one. Just the Zuni fetish doll segment, though. So like it opens
That's
up in the
interesting.
apartment.
Yeah, I
yeah.
can picture the cover of it. But,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like it's the only example I can think of that an anthology episode gets a sequel. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
It's a good
interesting.
way to get people to watch it too.
Oh, you
But
had to have if you're making a part two, like you had to include those.
yeah, really good movie. I'll go to sevens now. Sure, 7 out of 10.
All right, so Tony's number 19 is The Devil's Reign with a 7.5 out of 10.
All right.
JP.
My number 19 is a film that was one of Tyler's top 10 favorite movies. Apparently, he lives near a lot of this stuff. It is the reincarnation of Peter Proud.
Nice.
I really, really like this movie. I think that I like the concept of trying to solve your own murder type thing. It feels like very like Hitchcockian type
Yep.
of setup. And I just think that it's like well done throughout, from the acting to the way that the story's paced and fed to you, and the weirdness that comes along with the fact that the
The
daughter
daughter.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's like one of the it feels a little more highbrow than a lot of the stuff in the
Yeah,
in
it does. Like
70s as well.
I think that's
um
something that kind of surprised me about it, like watching it like with a more like focused eye this time.
yeah. But I give that one a 7.5 out of 10 as well.
All right.
You're muted, Moods.
Fuck, I missed the whole thing. Oh, I had to go with my
It
fucking
was
dog said
the
something.
reincarnation of Peter Proud.
Oh, nice. Nice. Good choice. Good choice. And that, would you give it? Seven?
7.5.
7.5 out of 10. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. All right, so number 19 for myself, we're gonna leave France and we're gonna head over to my neck of the world in the land of Canada. Which is crazy, man. Like I actually have three Canadian films in my top 25. That's nuts. But with a film called Sudden Fury.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
Yeah,
I watched that.
I watched that one.
yeah, that's a good film, man. Yeah, actually, Vinegar Syndrome released this one, and it was the first time watch for me when it came out
Yeah.
a
It
few
was
years
out then,
ago.
I think.
Yeah, a few years back, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was a Canadian film. I was like, holy shit. But basically, yeah, this is a fun one, man. It's one of those stories that revolves around a dude that's kind of like in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? There's like this car accident stuff and he goes to help and shit like that, but there's like way more to the story and he kind of gets wrapped up in this and kind of gets blamed for what's going on and stuff. And um it's cool, man. It's got like these horror elements to it, but it's kind of got like this whole I don't really know how to classify this one, man. Like it feels like a road horror film, but it's kind of not at the same time. Um but it's just it's more of a mystery, really. Like, him trying to
Kind of
almost
like a
kind of
horror thriller.
yeah, it's like a horror thriller kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that typical story where like, you're trying to be the good guy, but then you get wrapped up in something that, you probably shouldn't have, and you kind of get blamed for something that was there. Like I don't want to give away the specifics because I don't want to ruin the story, but it's a fucking good film, man. Really, really good film. It really shocked me, man, when I first watched this one. I was like, holy shit, dude, like that's impressive. It's impressive. I didn't really know what to expect from it. But good stuff though. Really good stuff. Sudden Fury, 8 out of 10. Check it out. It's a good thriller. It's a really good. Honestly, that's why it's down here. I think it's a really solid film. But you didn't watch this one, JP? That
Mm-mm.
sucks, man. It's a really good film.
I don't think I own it either. Must have missed that one back when they released it.
Yeah, it's yeah. The story is it's it's a little bit mean spirited at first with like what the guy's doing and stuff, and then sometimes this is why you just don't get involved in other people's business, man. You get wrapped up in it, and then you gotta fight for your own life, man. I mean, we've seen this type of stories before, but it plays off pretty cool. I really like how this one plays out. It's good.
Cool.
So, yeah, Tyler.
All right. So we're going to number 18 for a movie that Tony had on his list. It's a Mexican film. Oh shit, we're on 19, aren't we? Ha! Or on 19, scratch that.
Yep, 19.
Okay, you didn't hear any of that, everyone. So we're actually gonna go north. We're gonna join Moodz in Canada, and that is for a film that I guess people suspect would be on my list, and it is my number 19. That is David Cronenberg's Shivers. David Cronenberg is one of my guys, but I'm not really like as high on this movie as a lot of people are. This is just like it's good. It's a movie that like I'm happy to like have in his catalog, and it's like a high energy, like gross, like body, like sci-fi horror movie. But I'm into like I put most of his more cerebral films above that. That's like the kind of thing that I really like about Cronenberg. Like from The Brood on is like really where like I start to really get into Cronenberg. But this is still like a quick watch, good movie. Pretty much anything. It's a pretty straightforward film. I think most people will enjoy. 7 out of 10.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's one that I've always really enjoyed, man. I think every time I watch it, I like it more, I swear.
I
Something
do
about it.
too. Cronenberg in general has that effect on me, but
Yeah.
yeah, his Shivers and Rabbit are two that have went up for me as I've watched them.
I love the one doctor in the film. Like I always feel like that guy should have been like a bigger actor or whatever. He just I don't know the way he plays his character. I don't know. There's something about him, man. I just really like
Yeah.
that guy. But oh yeah, Tony. So we're number 18. Yeah.
Yep.
So his number 18 is Poor Pretty Eddie with an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
All right. We're
lot of
pretty
people
heady.
like that,
Represent.
man.
So he's breaking into the eights now. It took him up to number 18. That's interesting. All right, JP.
All right. My number 18 is we're heading up to Canada. Well, maybe like right on the border. And that is Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, starring Diane Thorne, or I like to call her the ultimate Nazi MILF with big titties. Yeah, this, it's we've reviewed this film before. I'm looking forward to the Kino release. I've always wanted this in a good transfer. I like women in prison, camp movies, just prison camp movies in general.
Mhm.
I like a good Nazi exploitation film. I like the occasional like messed up torture shit as well. But yeah, it's a sleazy good time. It's exploitation at its core.
Brutal. It's fucking brutal, man.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's I like Ilsa, harem keeper of the oil sheiks is well. Wicked Warden, which isn't really technically an Ilsa film,
mhm.
but kind of got lumped in there, and it's basically the same shit. So that one's good. I've never seen the Tigress of Siberia though, so am interested in checking that one out, which will be a franchise roundup film
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I actually was going into this year, I was certain that Ilsa was gonna make my top 10 just
I was
based on
actually
like
shocked it didn't make your top 10, man. I don't know if I mentioned that on the show, but I was shocked that it wasn't on there.
yeah, and it didn't even make my top 15
Yeah,
apparently.
I know. That's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
But I am a fan of it.
Yeah, even the fact that like, me having the Stepford Wives number 25, it doesn't mean, it's still an 8 out of 10. It's a solid
Yeah.
fucking year. All right, so number 18 for myself, we're gonna leave Canada and we're gonna cross the border down to the US and we're gonna do the TV film Trilogy of Terror.
Nice.
So we've talked about this one many, many times. Karen Black's awesome. Of course, she plays
Four
uh
characters.
four different characters in this in a TV film. Karen Black was actually in a
Five
couple.
if you count like the possessed one at the end of the third.
Oh, right. Yeah, I get. Yeah, right, right. Crazy. Yeah, Karen Black had a pretty good year in 1975. She was in a few different films, or she was in a couple different films. Um, One that we have not even brought up yet. If it gets brought up, but she's in another film from 1975 that's pretty cool. But yeah, Trilogy of Terror, it's a classic anthology film. What can I say, man? Karen Black's awesome. I've always loved her, man. She's one of those actresses that like once you see her, you never forget her. There's something about her eyes and her face. Like there's something unique about her. I love the way she presents herself in film. She's just one of my favorites. I love Karen Black. But yeah, Trilogy of Terror, honestly, one of my all-time favorite TV films. It's really, really solid.
Mhm.
Can't go wrong. 8 out of 10.
All right. This is now we're gonna hopscotch the U.S. and go down to Mexico for a movie that was on Tony's list. It is Blacker Than the Night. This movie is really cool. It's like this really atmospheric, slow burn haunted house movie
I
involving
should
the
have rewatched
condition.
this one. I should have rewatched it. Fuck, I didn't even. It never dawned on me to rewatch it.
Yeah, I like the cat. I like the like the whole thing around the cat where you can kind of tell like the cat's like the true heir to the estate.
Right.
Is this
Uh,
not based on like a? I feel like we've seen this movie before.
it's kind of like a spin on the Black Cat story.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say it does feel
yeah.
very Poe-y, doesn't it?
There's
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of just spins on the black. I like the Black Cat story. I think the Black Cat story gets
I'm
like
such a huge fan of Black Cats.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it gets a remade and adapted and spun so often because it's a great fucking story. So
Mhm.
cool.
I mean, I
Um,
literally rewatched. Sorry to cut you off, but I literally rewatched the Masters of Horror episode, The Black Cat, with Jeffrey Combs a couple months back because it's my favorite episode in the first 2 seasons. But I love that. Jeffrey Combs knocks the shit out the fucking park. But that whole story is crazy. I just love the way it's shot and everything. It's great, man. It's fucking awesome, man. It's so good.
yeah,
But there's
this
a
is
lot of
like
good adaptations of the Black Cat story.
yeah.
There really is a lot of good
Like
ones.
a slow burn, like atmospheric haunted house movie. It was kind of shot like it was a giallo. It's definitely not, but like it kind of has that like same like sensibility.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a murder mystery type of
Yeah,
Yeah,
vibe.
for sure, for sure.
yeah, but it's a really cool fusion. This guy's a really neat director. This is in a set that comes from Severin, like the Mexican Gothic films of the director. I think his name is like Carlos Tabadas or something. It's probably like I should just tell you that Carlos Enrique Taboada. It has this movie called Poison for the Fairies that's like supposed to be the best of all these, or at least it's the most popular. Another movie from 75 called Rapina that is also a cool
Honestly,
movie.
this is one of the best like themed box sets that
Yeah,
Vinegar
this
Syndrome's
set
ever
is
put
a
out
really yep.
for
This
a
Yeah,
is
director.
you
really
said
good.
Severin.
I did. I meant Vinegar Syndrome.
Vinegar
I
Syndrome. Yeah,
was
it's one of the
thinking.
it's
I
one of the
was.
best
I
Vinegar
meant,
Syndrome like themed box sets, like director
yeah.
box sets that they ever put because all 3 films are solid as fuck.
Yeah, this was before, like when this came out, I wasn't really like in tune with Vincent yet, and I like saw this at Wasteland last year. I was like, oh shit, Poison for the Fairies, and this is a really cool looking set, and I like just bought it on the spot.
Hmm.
But yeah,
The only
this
movie I'd
was
heard of was that movie. You're right, because it
yeah.
is the most popular one. And then it turns out that it might even been, even though it's really good, it might have been my least favorite of the 3, which is kind of crazy,
Yeah, I
right?
still haven't watched that one. I'm gonna probably watch
It's
it this
good. It's
following
really good
season.
actually. But like the other, like these ones are like Rapina was really fucking interesting, man.
Yeah, but I like yeah, it's these like the films are at least like really cool. And yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna stick with a 7 out of 10.
Sweet.
Cool. All right. So Tony's number 17 is the Italian film that JP loves so much. And that's Footprints on the Moon. And
All
he gives
right,
and he gives that a
yeah,
solid 8 out of 10.
my man.
All right,
I feel like
JP.
you guys are just like making shit up.
No,
Um,
your next pick is probably Footprints on the Moon, isn't it?
No, it's not.
That's number
But
11.
you know what's funny about that is like I give it so much a hard time, but I rated it like a 6.5 or something. So you know,
Even
I
on
thought I was
rewatch,
gonna
man, that
come.
movie is fucking solid, dude.
I thought I was gonna come down on it. I was like, well, nah, this movie is like really
No, I think it
atmospheric.
got better actually
Yeah,
the second
it got
time I
better
watched
for
it.
me. I liked
Yeah,
it.
man.
Like,
I
wow.
don't know about all that.
I like it,
Um,
man. It's good.
So we're gonna head over to France with a little film called Lips of Blood from Jean Rollin.
Nice.
All right.
Big fan of this guy. I've watched probably about 5, 6 of his movies so far, and I liked them all. There was one's was I forget what year we did. I can't remember which one it was.
The Seven Grapes of Death came out in
No, I like that one a lot. It was we had a year.
Was it 1980? Because I watched that movie the night I
Yes.
hunted.
Yeah, it was that one. That was
Oh
probably my
yeah.
least favorite, but
I didn't
still
like that
still
one. That's
decent.
kind of yeah, I didn't
Oh,
really
that's
like
with
that
the
one.
porn star. What's her face? Nah, I can't fucking remember her name right now.
But the Iron Rose or whatever the hell that one's called is pretty good.
It's like my favorite movie.
Requiem for Vampire or whatever. It's pretty good. Um, but yeah, I like I just love his like style of vampire film and just like he really like accentuates the female body and makes women seem like mysterious and um like just like the it's kind of almost like a dreamlike, you know what I mean? Like you're like you could picture
Well, this one kind of focuses on that aspect,
right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But I feel like he handles that dreamlike atmosphere really well. And um this guy was like very underappreciated. There's a documentary that came out like a year or two ago called forget what it was called, but it's basically a documentary on Jean Rollin. And there's a story in there that a convention runner told where this was back in like the 90s or something where she wanted to like screen like some of his movies and he was like but she couldn't like really pay him much because it's like a just like pretty starting out convention or whatever, and he was just like so excited that he even was like thought of, and he came over, it might have been in New York, I can't remember where it was, but um she was like real embarrassed because there was only like a handful of people at the first screening or whatever, and but like John Rollin was like walked up to her and he was like couldn't believe that that many people watched this movie like, and it was just like very humble and like it's like a guy who probably never really got like good recognition while he was alive. um so it's I feel like he's a bit underappreciated. I mean, I think people know him and he is appreciated amongst people who are like cinema fans, but
Right.
I doubt he was much when he was alive. And then now there's still a lot of people just haven't checked out his work at all. I was one of them for a long time, but
Yeah.
I think he's a really like he has a style, and that's not a lot of directors can say that.
Oh, you can
Uh,
tell it's a roll-on film when you're
yeah.
watching it for sure. Oh yeah.
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 So I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I like
My
Mr.
buddy,
Rollin.
my buddy Greg actually he was telling me a story one time a couple years back at HorrorCon in Calgary. He was at a screening. I can't remember what films they were showing of Roland in Vancouver. Anyways, Jean Rollin was there, and it was actually a couple years before he passed away. And he was there to do like a Q&A or whatever. I don't even know what it was.
Maybe it was that fucking convention. I don't know.
It could
Maybe
have
I
been
was
actually.
wrong with the years and stuff like that and the location. Like I said, I watched it like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it could
So
have been. It could
so
have
Greg was
been.
telling me the story, and like, he was actually sitting with Jean Rollin right next to him while they were doing the screening of these films, and they like basically just talked the whole time about their films because Greg's a massive, massive fan of Roland, and it was like it's crazy. Like, he was there and he was just so appreciative of the fact that, like, again, like what you were saying about how so many people were into his films, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm in Canada. Like, why are people watching my film? Why am I here right now? Like, I was invited to do, like, he was so
Yeah.
he was just so shocked that like that he was able to do this. And then he ultimately passed away a couple years later. But
Well, at
McGreg's
least
story
he
was
got
just
to
crazy.
experience that.
Yeah, he literally he said they barely even watched it. They just talked the whole time, and like it was like really cool, man. I was like, that's a nuts story, man. That's absolutely fucking nuts that you just hung out with Jean Rollin. Like, it's
Cool.
fucking crazy, super crazy. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah,
Oh
he's
yeah,
showing
Michael.
people are interested in like checking out more of like even though I've been like lukewarm on him, like he
Mhm.
definitely has a style that like if it's just hits the right way, it could hit hard.
Mm.
Have you seen Grapes of Death?
No.
Check that one out. It's a
I
little
Yeah,
I've
that one's
different.
really
seen
good.
like I don't think I've seen any of like the real top tier ones. I've kind of seen random ones like this
I
is
think
probably
you
the
would
most
also
popular.
like the Iron Rose
Iron
one.
Rose, Living Dead Girl gets a
Yeah.
lot of praise too. That one gets a lot of praise. So
This is probably the most the Lips of Blood is probably like the most like well known one I've seen.
Yeah, this one gets a lot of praise too, actually. A lot of people love this one.
Mhm.
So, actually, we had a comment on the podcast stating that they were surprised that it wasn't on anyone's top 10 list.
I thought I wasn't surprised it wasn't, but I thought this movie did have a shot to make top 10. It's like I wouldn't have been surprised if that was
Yeah,
like
it's just one of those years, it's like it's so tough because like I said, I mean, I took out 3, 4 films in my top 10 that were in there all year, a couple days before we finalized the top tens and shot or recorded the show. It's just such a competitive year. Like, I mean, things get bounced around, right? So it is what it is. But all right, so coming in number 17 for myself, we're gonna stay in the US and we're gonna go with a little film called The Love Butcher,
Yes.
which I feel that like the dude that plays Caleb, like this guy should have won an award for this performance, man, because like he plays dual characters in the film, but it's like it's unbelievably he's like unrecognizable, right? Like he's one character, and then when he becomes the other one, you're just like, is that the same dude? Fucking crazy, dude. And it's like there's not even much of a transfer. It's just a matter of like hair and glasses and stuff, and like, but the way he portrays the characters, his acting is so good for such a low budget, micro budget film. Like his performance is crazy to me. It's crazy, man. I love this movie, dude. It's so much fun, man. It's just, I feel like it's an underappreciated, what you want to call it. And I hate the term proto slasher. I hate that fucking term. I've come to terms with I hate that term. But to me, this is a bona fide slasher film. Like this guy's literally killing people off one by one, like the whole fucking movie. It's literally slashing them up. He's literally slashing them up. It's crazy.
I think you're probably becoming like me where you just hate like stuffing things into labels.
It's probably becoming that, yeah, for sure. But I mean, this
Yeah.
movie, like, it's 1975. It's 3 years prior to what we call the start of the slasher. I'm not going to mention the movie because if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're fucking shouldn't be watching this right now. But
Yeah, it kind of depends where you place that start. I think Exploding Heads has come to an agreement that they think it started with Black Christmas more so than Halloween. So
I mean,
by
I
that
stayed
logic, it would be a slasher, not a proto.
right, exactly. And I mean, my argument, I agree with that though too, because like if you look at the influence that Carpenter had when he made Halloween was straight taken from Bob Clark in
Mhm.
Black Christmas. We all know the story, right?
Yeah.
So with that logic and taking that angle, if you consider Black Christmas to be a straight up slasher film, which I do because it's exactly what it's doing, it should be the start of it. It technically should. I mean, I think I mean, it has all the elements right there, no matter how you look at it. But I mean, best ending ever. One of the best endings.
We'll
But
save this discussion for a couple months from now.
yeah, but anyways, digressing. I digress again. The Love Butcher, man, fun fucking fun movie, dude. I love this movie. It's this low budget 70s cinema that just works, man. It's got, I mean, it's shot decently. It's got decent music to it. Like it's fun, it's quirky, but like it's honestly the performance from the main guy in this film that really sells this movie for me. It works so well to me, and it's just underappreciated in my opinion. But I give it an 8 out of 10. It's a really fun fucking movie. So you never seen The Love Butcher? Check it out, man. He's the Love Butcher. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can call it kind of a psycho ripoff. I guess I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many of these movies that take that angle. I mean, even my dad even made one of those too. So,
Shut up.
but
All
yeah, Daddy
right.
Freud, he made one of those, right? But
All right. We're going to Italy for a movie that made several top tens, and it is Late Night Trains or Night Trains to Death or whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I like Late Night Trains. But
Night Train Murders. Yeah.
Night Train Murders, yeah, it's the one on the Blu-ray cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is basically it's like Last House on the Left on a train, and I think it's a little better than Last House on the Left. I don't think it's as brutal and as mean spirited as Last. Well, maybe it's just as mean spirited, but it's not as brutal as Last House on the Left, but it also like kind of cuts that like kind of goofy like comedy that is a little divisive in Last House on the Left, and I think that's why I ultimately like this movie more. But yeah, just I'm sure we've talked enough about this one on the show. but good movie. Vicious. Kind of admit like there's a couple things you just like don't forget about this movie, and that's kind of what sells it. But yeah, late night train murder, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, what's so fucking, nasty about the movie is like just how they dispose of the bodies, like they're just like pieces
Yeah,
of fucking meat, like out the fucking trailer. It's just dude, and those dummies, those are actually kind of interestingly funny. You gotta admit, like there's definitely some dummy action there. But actually, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that we brought it up when we did the show, but like there's a mass amount of good dummy deaths in 75. Like there's a lot of
yeah.
good dummies in 75, man.
A lot of them started just coming up at the end of my prep, like pretty conveniently. Like I had like 3 movies in a row. I was like, oh, this is the best dummy death of the year. No, this is the best dummy death of the year. And then
Yeah.
I forgot what order they were in. But eventually, it's like, nope, this is the best dummy death of the year.
I know there's so many of them. It's ridiculous. It's awesome. Ah, yeah, good stuff. All right, so Tony's number 16, we're at number 16, which is a film from Japan called Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees, and he gives that one a 8 out of 10.
Right.
Nice. All right, my number 16, we're heading over to Spain for a film that I had trouble watching a little bit because it wasn't streaming anywhere, and I ended up having to watch it on Dave's Plex. But I always have trouble with this Plex, and the subtitles go out a lot of times on subtitled movies for me, or
No,
just weird like issues that I have where it's the movie's like I have to restart the movie. But it is The Killing of the Dolls.
oh, I was wrong.
What'd you say it was?
I thought it was gonna be Sanico Pandemonium.
I actually didn't even get around to that one.
Oh,
What
that
did,
was one that,
what did you call
that
it? It's The Killer of Dolls.
That's what I said.
Is that what you said, The Killer of Dolls?
What did you think I said?
Oh, I don't know. I thought I heard it differently.
yeah, I thought it was that because that one I didn't have the Blu-ray
The
for.
Killing of the Dolls. That's what I said.
No,
Yeah, you said it's called The Killer of Dolls.
of Dolls.
No, it's called The Killing of the Dolls.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What do you mean, bro?
Are you
Killing of the Dolls.
weird?
This is a different movie.
No, it's just like an alternate title for it or something like that.
but it is funny because the actual title on Letterboxd is The Killer of Dolls.
Yeah.
But
well, even the Blu-ray even says fucking Killer of
yeah,
Dolls,
but the poster they have on there says something different.
I actually never saw that before. It's crazy. It was tripping me out.
But yeah, this
mine.
movie I'll probably have to pick up that Mondo eventually because this is a pretty good movie. I'd love
It
to
looks
have this in my
fantastic.
collection.
It looks fantastic.
I'm pretty sure I watched that transfer. But like I said, I just said it was having trouble with it a little bit. But yeah, this one, the lead performance is like pretty out there. It's kind of reminds you of like it has like shades of Maniac, childhood trauma type stuff.
Mhm.
It's just it's pretty good. I'll definitely pick it up. 8 out of 10.
I mean, we've seen these type of stories where like the childhood trauma is based on the parents are, they raise their child a totally different way, maybe as a different sex or whatever, and then it plays into the whole narrative and shit. Like I actually think it's really effective in this film. I love how it blurs the lines of reality and stuff like that. I think it's great. I think it's really well done, and it's so heartbreaking. This movie's so fucking goddamn heartbreaking too. Obviously, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's fucking brutal. Like it's absolutely fucking brutal. And then and it's crazy too. Like when you look up the actress that played that girl, like the love interest, it's so weird too because she was actually 16 in this film, and he was in his early 20s. So that's awkward in itself.
Yep.
That was going on, but like there's actually a moment in the film where they actually show her boobs too, which again, that's different filmmaking, right? Like you're just like, holy shit, dude, like she's 16. But she actually died really, really young too. It kind of sucks. So the whole story with that is it's pretty nasty. But again, these European type films, man, like we see this a lot in relationships and underage nudity, and it's fucking ridiculous. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, what are we on? Number 16 for myself. We're gonna go from the US back to France with Jean Rollin's Lips of Blood. Yeah, great film.
Nice.
We don't really need
Agreed.
to explore that anymore. But again, I like these type of dreamy type, atmospheric type films, mysteries.
We also did a full review on it, so
Yep. Yeah,
years ago at
this is
point.
like right up my alley, man. If you like really atmospheric, dreamy type films set in great locations, like the locations are fantastic, man. You know, but you're always going to get that with a roll-on film. I mean, if you like that type of shit, I'm a very visual person, so settings and wardrobes and set pieces and stuff like that is a big thing for me. So, you win a lot of points with me when it comes to that type of thing. And Roland always has that for me. So I'm always intrigued by his movies. Even if the narrative it is what it is. But his narratives are, they're complex enough that they're interesting. So but Lips of Blood, 8.5 out of 10. So we're jumping up from 8s to 8.5.
Nice. Cool.
Tyler.
All right. Number 16. This one's more of an exploitation movie than it is a horror movie, but I thought it was fine for an extended list. That is Switchblade Sisters. This movie is.
I didn't even rewatch this, man, because I was like, "There's no way." Really, dude, this is not even close. Like, this is totally straight up exploitation, man.
Yeah, this is like kind of a prototype to something like Massacre at Central High or Class of '84.
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's fun.
Is it? Is that a Jack Hill film?
Yep, it's a Jack Hill film. Yeah, it's like kind of this dystopian future, like is it like teen like gang movie. This is like a girl gang, and there's the Switchblade sisters in it, and they do kind of the cool stuff in this that you usually see in these movies. Like all the characters always have like cool personalities in this movie, but there's a particular scene in a roller rink in this movie that's fucking like insane and like one of the greatest things you'll see in a movie like this. And like I loved it. Like after that, my jaw was on the floor because I just like couldn't believe like the dark comedy like behind like the idea of a scene like that. Like I loved it. And that's really like the big part that sells me about this movie. Yeah, I'd happily like check this movie out again. But like I said, it's more of an exploitation movie. It's not like really even that close to horror. But I thought it was fine for this. We're gonna go up to 7.5 on that.
Hey man, we're not pigeonholing ourselves with 22 shots, man. I remember actually one of the first shows that we did, I think that kind of got people talking about, 22 shots doesn't just do horror films. And that actually going back to Ilsa was the Ilsa trilogy that we had done. Because a lot of people consider that to be more exploitation than, straight up horror. But I think the first Ilsa film is I mean, the first Ilsa film is pretty horrific, man. It's fucking nasty, and it's definitely exploitation. It's sleazy exploitation type stuff, but it has so many horror elements to it, and it's kind of based on. I'm not going to say straight up real events. I don't know if the Nazis were actually doing those type of sex experiments and like trying to figure out if women could be, fighting on the front lines. Who knows? You take the general idea of what they were doing. It's horrific in itself, but
yeah.
But that was one conversation that we had quite a bit. Because up to that point on 22 Shots, we hadn't really covered a lot of films that were kind of questionable within the horror realm. And I think the one might have been The Boy and His Dog, because I consider that film not to be a horror film at all. It's straight up like post-apocalyptic. It's not a horror film at all. Good film, but I don't think it falls into the horror realm. But yeah. So, anyways. Was that it?
Yeah. 7.5 out of 10.
All right. So Tony's number 15 is Strip Nude for Your Killer with an 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Good choice.
All right. My number 15, we're going from Spain to Argentina for a film that Tyler was a big fan of. That is Nazareno Cruz and the Wolf. Which is what?
I'm excited to see this one when I get the Hans Bach.
Oh, you didn't watch this one. I forgot about that. Yeah, pretty cool, like folklore legend type thing. Seventh son is destined to turn into a wolf. The village is all fucking scared of this dude, and then he doesn't turn into a wolf. So they're like, "Oh, Nazareno is a really cool guy." And then he finds love, and then the devil shows up and it's like, "You're gonna be wealthy if you turn down this love, but if you don't turn down this love, you're gonna be a wolf." And yeah, it's
Hmm.
just like good old folky stuff. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I like the village setting and stuff like that. Give it a solid 8 out of 10.
It definitely wasn't for a lack of trying. I really tried to watch this one. I could not find a
I tried to
fucking
find
copy
somewhere.
without
Yeah,
subtitles or
I
with
tried to
English
find
subtitles.
it for you guys, and I couldn't
Oh,
find it anywhere.
I
I
could have
was
got it for you. You
because
didn't
everyone
ask.
kept talking about it, and I'm like, this is gonna make some lists, and I'm like, fuck, it's gonna be the one I haven't seen. But it turns out there's actually a few I didn't see. But I think that's really cool that Severin's putting that on the Haunts 2 box set. So
I
that
got
works out really
so
fucking well. That
excited.
works out really
Yeah.
fucking well, man. It's awesome. Can't fucking wait for that shit, man. It's gonna be awesome. So number 15 for myself, we're gonna leave France. We're gonna go to Mexico. That's right. The Mexicans' homeland right there.
Yeah, yeah.
With a amazingly titled film called Satanico Pandemonium. I fucking love this movie, man. Nunsploitation at its finest. Basically, this one is just about
I forgot to rewatch that one.
a perfect nun. You know, she's a nun, and anyways, she pretty much gets possessed by Lucifer, the devil, and she ultimately just goes on like a sexcapade and a murder spree, and it's just very exploitive and it's fucking awesome. I love this movie. You know, one thing about this movie that's very I think some people or most people probably know this, but of course, Selma Hayek's character from Dusk Till Dawn is actually named after this movie, right? Satanic Pandemonium. So that's one thing that's always notable for, which kind of makes sense because Tarantino and Rodriguez and shit. I mean, yeah, that's the connection. Tarantino loves this movie, so it makes sense. But it's fucking awesome, man. It's great exploitation. I mean, I'm a huge fan of nunsploitation. It's just one of those subgenres that always seems to work for me. It's always explicitly fucking sleazy and awesome. It always works. But
Yeah.
this is a great Mondo Blu-ray. It looks fantastic. It sounds great. Like this is how you need to watch it, man. They do such good stuff. But 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, Tyler.
All right. Going to Japan.
Mm,
This was another one off the Mondo line. It is a haunted Turkish bathhouse.
damn, that one actually made you wow, that high too. Crazy.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool. This was a movie I actually thought was going to be like a top 10 contender, and it just kind of like it wasn't stacking up like with like the rest of the list, so it like opened the door for other things.
Mhm.
But yeah, this was really cool. This movie is like just like pure like Japanese golden age sleaze. It's like it's got that thing that Japanese movies do where it has like bajillion subplots and it's just like absolute like sweet like wild like sleaze. Like this starts like already like off as a comedy where they're like, okay, like
Dude, this movie's
prostitutions
ridiculous.
are yeah, he's like prostitution's banned and like he's in like a room full of like prostitutes and they're like, oh, and then he's like, so we'll buy a bathhouse. Then you'll have your own customers, you could do whatever you want. Yeah, and they all just start like cheering, and it's just like you already know
Yeah,
what you're in for.
yeah,
It's hilarious. Yeah, there's a lot of like hot naked Japanese women in here doing sleazy scenes.
yeah.
And then it becomes like this gang like this like gang thriller that starts to plot against the guy's wife, and then it turns into like a ghost story. And then this is also a variation like on the Black Cat story. It's just like wild all over the place. It's got super cool cinematography. It's got like almost like that like Shaw Brothers horror movie look. Uh it's such a cool movie. It's just like a whole just random ball of nonsense like stitched together to make this like wild movie. It's got that just great look. It's got like similar cinematography or something like Under the Blossom Cherry Trees, but high energy. It's like 82 minutes. Like I def recommend this movie. If you like any of this like type of Asian horror or like the goofy Asian horror, you'll like this movie. It's just like it's a scoop of everything. 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
All right.
nice. Yeah, that movie is fucking. It's so typical, man. It's just ridiculously off the chain, man. It's
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so Tony's number 14 is Ilsa, the she-wolf of the SS, with an 8 out of 10.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right. My number 14 is a movie that probably I don't know if it made any lists at all. And that is Satan's Triangle TV movie.
That was on
Um,
Carly's list.
It was on her
was
top
it?
10 list, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This movie's just very enjoyable to me. I think that like it's like the perfect kind of TV movie. And what I mean by that is it's like pretty standard for the most part, but then it has like a memorable ass ending. It's just fucking creepy. Um and yeah, it's basically set on a boat, which Moodz usually likes. Um but it
Mhm.
yeah, it has a really like just bizarre but also like creepy as hell ending that really worked on me. But like basically Bermuda Triangle type thing going on. But yeah, 8 out of 10.
Nice. Nice. All right, so number 14, we're going to leave Mexico. We're going to go a little bit north, back to the US with a film called The Day of the Locusts. Now, it's down here because I mean, it's not necessarily a full-blown horror film, but
Yeah, I don't think that was on my watch list.
it definitely has its moments in the third act for sure.
Yeah,
It goes
it's got
just
some moments, but I was kind
Is
of
it
saying,
about
like,
killer locusts?
no.
no.
Damn it.
No, this one's actually a period piece. It's set in the 1930s and it's basically about a dude that like, comes to Hollywood and he meets this actress played by Karen Black and he basically like he falls for her and shit like that. And she's a struggling actress too. She's getting these little small parts in Hollywood. She's more of like an extra and all this type of shit. And it kind of follows these characters and stuff. And then it's more honestly, this movie to me almost feels like more of like it's almost like a psychological thriller in a sense, man. Like the way it kind of and it's long too. But this movie's what 2.5 hours long,
Yeah,
Tyler?
it's just under 2.5 hours,
Yeah,
like
it feels like almost like
2:25
a
or
God
something.
damn.
Yeah.
but it rips by though, man. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours long. And it's kind of crazy because like for the first like 2 hours of this film, it's like following these characters and it's like set in this like golden age of Hollywood back in the 30s and stuff like that. And it really, really well done movie, man. This guy actually directed Midnight Cowboy, I believe, right? He directed Midnight
Yeah.
Cowboy.
Midnight
Um,
Cowboy's like, oh my, oh,
yeah, that movie's fantastic. I think he
oh
did
my
Marathon
God.
Man. He also did, I think
Yeah, he did Marathon, man.
he
He did
did
Bloody
the
Sunday, Bloody Sundays. Oh, Bloody Sunday. Oh my God, Sunday, Bloody Sunday.
yeah,
That's what he
and he
did.
also did The Believers in '87, which we actually reviewed
Yeah.
JP with I think Believe or Dave back in the day. Remember we did that
Yeah.
Believers episode? So this is a
Yeah.
director who did that film. So kind of a
Yeah.
totally different type of film, but
First,
this one's
first
period piece.
X-rated movie to win Best Picture.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Directed.
Midnight Cowboy, yeah. But yeah, no, this one it's like a character. It's also got Donald Sutherland in it too, where um honestly, I don't want to really say a whole lot about the movie, but like his character becomes involved with Karen Black and it just goes fucking insane, dude. Like she's such a bitch. She's such a bitch in the movie that like it drives him to the point where this shit goes batshit in the third act. Like like it's fucking haywire, man. It's haywire. But honestly, man, like this movie is shot so well. It's acted so fucking well. Like honestly, this is one of my favorite performances by Donald Sutherland that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, he
Like
does a
he's
good job on here.
he's really good in this movie as like this subdued, like, oh dude, he's just overcome, like he's just being beat down mentally and shit. And it really just explodes. The one thing about the movie that I thought would have been interesting if they explored more about like Karen Black's character and like her journey in Hollywood and stuff like that. There's actually some pretty interesting moments in the film where they actually bring up like this one actress, I guess, who committed suicide. She jumped off the Hollywood sign. They actually bring that up in the movie. That was actually a real event. when they're doing the tour and stuff. I don't know if you knew that, Tyler, but she was like this Hollywood actress back in the early 30s, and she jumped off the Hollywood sign and committed suicide in Chile. It was pretty crazy. I guess I can say suicide because we already got fucked on for saying rapes.
We're already we're already boned.
But really, really good movie. Honestly, this is one that you gotta kind of have to see. Don't want to ruin anything about it because it's very unique. Actually, Arrow just put this out on Blu-ray, and it's a fantastic fucking release. So I had to grab it. Worth your time. 9 out of 10. Not a full-blown horror film. I wouldn't even call it really straight up exploitation either, but it has a
It's a drama. Like
it,
it's a
it
psychological drama.
it's
With like
totally a
touch of-
psychological drama. So I mean,
Yeah.
you can take it for how it is, but it's definitely worth your time. It's a little bit long, but it doesn't feel like it though. It doesn't feel like it. I think that scene, the scene, Tyler, where they're shooting the film and the fucking shit just
Oh,
goes.
when the set starts falling apart.
Holy fuck,
Yeah.
dude. That is a beautifully shot scene because like they had to build sets to collapse and like they're filming it. It's crazy. It's just fucking pandemonium. It's nuts. It's absolutely bonkers, but Data Locust, great film. 9 out of 10.
Cool. Okay. Going out to number 14. I thought this movie was going to be a clear-cut entrance into my top 10, but I felt rewatching the first time in a while, this movie had a ton of high points. It started off really well, and I think that it really runs into a pacing wall. This movie has a big pacing issue, which really like holds me back from wanting to like watch it more than once in a while. And that's the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hmm.
Yeah, I almost wish the whole movie would have just been entirely singing because, like, I thought, like, it's been a while since I'd seen it, but I'd seen it a couple times. And I thought, like, maybe, okay, oh, maybe this is just gonna, like, sing the entire movie, and I just don't remember that. But, yeah, it hits a wall, like, kind of, like, where the singing kind of stops and it, like, has some pacing issues, but the high points of this movie are so high. I like most of the songs. Like a lot of like the characters and like design and just like the way it's filmed, they're like really done well. It's kind of just like that cult classic movie you have to like at least like check out. But yeah, Rocky Horror Picture Show, 7.5 out of 10.
I just feel like the first 2/3 of this movie is like so entertaining and so good. I'd never liked the third act in this movie.
That's the problem with it. It hits the third act and it just like starts it's like stop. It's like it's a different movie and
It doesn't
like,
just
makes
lose
you, like,
steam, it like becomes kind of lame.
yeah, like it halts. Like
Like,
it doesn't. It's not even like, oh, this is a little slow here, and it picks back up. Like it halts the movie, and it
yeah,
kind of like
man.
whimpers out.
Like it's crazy. Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this. And
Exactly.
then you're
That's how
right,
I
it hits a
felt.
wall
Like
and then it just ruins it for me. And like, I don't know. And that's the problem with this movie for myself is like, that's what it leaves you with. If the third act is that, it's like so off kilter and kind of lame that that's what it leaves me with. That's my last memory of the film. I'm like, fuck, I forget all the good stuff. I'm like, man.
yeah, I thought this was gonna be my number 10 out of 8, and I was gonna have 8 and higher in all my top 10. It was not that was gonna be wild, and
Mhm.
just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah. All right, cool. So Tony's number 13 is Sudden Fury. 8 out of 10 from the land of Canada. Good stuff,
All
man.
right.
Sudden Fury at number 13. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I knew he liked this movie because that was something.
It's
he
really,
asked me.
it's
You guys-
it's really,
Are
it's a
you
good
guys
one, man.
counting? He was like, "Are you guys counting Sudden Fury?" Like pretty like.
I had to put it on there, man. It's
I
good.
watched it.
All right, my number 13, going to Japan for a film we covered a little while back called Black Magic.
Oh, okay, cool.
Surprised it didn't show up anywhere for anybody. Maybe it
You,
will.
you know what's actually really funny? I don't even think I even remembered it was even 75. I think I might have just fucking completely overlooked it. I'm not even sure if I even rewatched it for it. It's crazy.
It just missed like my top
Yeah.
25.
I really liked this movie. I thought it was very good. We reviewed it last season, so check out that review if you want to hear our full thoughts. But I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, I definitely watched it, but I don't know. I don't know what the fuck happened, but whatever.
We watched it like we intentionally did a show to count it
Yeah.
as a 75.
Yeah, it must have been included in my total. I don't know.
It
I
had
don't
to
know.
have been.
But maybe I just overlooked it when I was making the list. But it probably could have been fit in
It
somewhere.
would have been like June we did it, I think.
Yeah. Number 13, I actually forgot to mention, man. So going back to number 15, so Day of Locust was never going to be eligible for my top 10, but actually going back to number 16, so Lips of Blood and Satanical Pandemonium, along with this film and the next couple, they were all in my top 10 at some point. So I had 5 films that ended up in the bottom, so from 11 to 16, that were actually in my top 10 for the majority of my prep. So number 13 is a film from Italy, and it's called Footprints on the Moon. This was in there forever. This was in my top 10 forever, and it's crazy. And like I said, Satanical Pandemonium was in there, and Lips of Blood was also in my top 10, which all ended up not being in there. And that's what the beauty of like watching films again and just, doing this type of prep and stuff, because you have an idea of what you might think is going to be in there when you start, and then it changes so drastically sometimes.
There's something that always surprises me.
Yeah, and then you're just, even when I'm doing my top 10 list, I'm like, damn, I can't believe that wasn't in my top 10. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that happens to me every time too.
Yeah, so Footprints on the Moon, I mean, we did a full-length review on this one. We've talked about it multiple times now, but, it's a really interesting kind of psychological...
Why the fuck are we talking about Footprints on the Moon again?
Jesus Christ. Great. Anyways, I give it 9 out of 10 still. I think it's a really good one. So... yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I was actually surprised I was the lone one that had that. I thought you were gonna have it, and
it was in there right to the bitter end, man. And it ended up at number 13 for me. It was 3 out.
I thought there was a chance Tony would have had it too, but I wasn't like as sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so for 13, we're going to Greece. I have a film called Eurydice BA 2037. It's directed by Nikos.
Wow, you're just making shit up. Like, you're completely making up movies. That doesn't even exist. That movie does not even exist. I just looked it up right now. It doesn't exist.
I was like, Greece? Where the fuck was a Greece?
What the fuck are you talking about? Christ, I have like so many films from around the world. No Greece films. No Greek films.
It's directed by Nikos Nikolaitis, and if anyone recognizes that name, it is the director of Singapore Sling, which is a film I'm a giant fan of. This is his first movie. It's a pretty low budget movie, and it's like based on the Greek tale of Eurydice going to Hades to rescue Orifice from Hades. Yeah, and it's repositioned to like this like dystopian like psychological. Oh, I mean, this is not psychological. This dystopian like war ravaged world, and it's just like this weird like psychological like horror film. Of this woman that's like imprisoned underground, which is supposed to be like the metaphor for Hades, and she's like communicating with the outside, and he has to like go on and break her, but it's edited like it's absolutely like a horror movie. It's kind of like Repulsion in that way, but it's like mixed with like Jean Delman, which is also a 1975 movie, which I kind of wanted to troll a little bit and and watch and pretend I was going to include. But in that movie, you basically just watch this woman do chores for like over 3 hours long, and you get like really like frustrated and like annoyed with it, and there's like crazy happens at the end, and it's a masterpiece. And this movie kind of did a similar thing where like it was like Repulsion, and you just watched her like doing shit like washing dishes and having to do like monotonous chores. It was like edited like a horror movie, but it is a little like its budget definitely shows a little bit. And it is a little bit slow at times. Sometimes it really takes its foot off the gas, but it's a really interesting movie. You can watch it on YouTube. But I liked it a lot. It's just something. Yeah, I think I'd have to watch more than once to really like get more out of it. It wasn't a movie I was like really interested in like watching again anytime soon. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for that one too.
All right, so Tony's number 12 is Race with the Devil with an 8 out of 10.
Nice. All right. My number 12 is Solo or 120 Days of Sodom.
Nice.
I actually think talking to you guys on that show made me like it more. I'm not sure I will revisit it anytime soon. It's like kind of a one and done for me. But it definitely is an impactful movie watching it. It definitely made me fucking grossed out. But I think like the deeper stuff in the movie that you guys were talking about like made me appreciate it a little bit more. which I think is like often probably not noticed because of the fact that
Yeah,
it is what it is. So
that's exactly what was my mistake when I first watched it. I didn't know anything about like what the movie was actually trying to say, and I probably just thought, oh, it's like fuck the Nazis and that's it. And like I was expecting it to be just like this horrific exploitation movie, and I remember thinking like that wasn't that bad, and that was long and boring.
yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a very like like even from the gate, like it's like a fucking wild movie. But like
Yeah,
the one specifically the guy with like the crooked eyes, like just got under
president,
my skin, bro.
the president.
That dude is just like creepy as hell. Um, but yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm kind of surprised. I was shocked that I ended up, just because it's such a notorious movie. Like I heard about it for so long. I've always avoided it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's pretty
Man,
good.
I had the Blu-ray for years and years, and it took me this prep to finally watch it.
To
I
Crazy.
just
So
decided
crazy.
one day, like I was ready to watch it, and I bought it, it came in the mail, and went right in the player.
Fuck, you watch it like 9 times for this prep, man. It's crazy.
I
but
watched
yeah,
it twice.
so that's my
I was
number
also trying
12.
to false flag you guys a little bit, so you'd think it was my number one. I was
Don't be
playing it up a
trying playing
little,
mind games with us, you fucker.
playing it up a
Yeah,
little.
I was convinced it was your number one for sure,
I
man.
think I thought like if like because I thought it would have been obvious what my number one was if anybody like really looks closely, so I kind of like was like, no, that's this movie.
Hmm.
Such a fucking wild year.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot
it's
happening
like
here.
also we just have we just going all over the world too. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like
was looking even at
Yeah,
my top 25 list. Like, I only have, I think, like 7 films from the US, and everything is, I have like 3 from Canada, and it's like Italy, Spain, fucking like Japan, Mexico, France. Like, it's all over the fucking
yeah,
place.
and then you got
There's
like
ton.
Argentina and fucking Greece show up.
I know
This is
yeah.
it's
Like
definitely
just
like a
world
world
shit,
tour.
man.
when
Yep.
I was making it, like basically every movie up to like 17, like up to my 17 had a chance to make it at some point. And like there's combinations I had where I ended up with 4 US movies, but there's combinations I would have had where I had like 2 US movies and everything else was foreign.
Yeah. Um. So my number 12 is an Italian film, another Italian film, which, a fair amount of Italian films made my list, but, there was a lot. I think I've watched like 18 or 19, maybe 20 Italian films. It's actually kind of crazy when you think about it, because like I watched 87 and around 20 were Italian. It's like just under 25%. It's fucking nuts. Um, and this is a film that was in my top 10 for the majority of the prep, because I've always enjoyed this movie, man. I think it's really unique in its approach and narrative, and that's Autopsy. I was so
Yeah.
happy when
I
Vinegar
mean, I
Syndrome.
was surprised that not that hadn't showed up until now.
Yeah, I mean, this is one.
Because I liked it a lot too, but it
It's
just
it
Yeah.
it was
That
literally
movie
in my
just
top
missed
10
my
forever. It was in my top 10
yeah.
forever, and it just got bumped out. And like, it's a movie that I watched years and years ago when, well, Anchor Bay released it too, but like Blue Underground released the DVD, and then of course we got the Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome, which is fantastic. But it's a really cool narrative, man. Like how it plays off of like um this whole like wave of suicides and stuff, and how it plays into like, you know kind of like the sun that might be causing this stuff, and then there's all these kind of like subplots that kind of build up this narrative and stuff. It's like, it's really unique in style. Like, there's so much happening. I kind of wish that, the one thing about this movie I wish that they had have explored more was the idea with the wave of suicides with related to the sun, and like that whole kind of celestial type aspect of it. I think that would have been really unique in itself. But all in all, man, this one has some really cool visuals, man. It takes place literally like, in a fucking morgue. Like the story, like, we follow this character that works in a morgue and stuff like that. So you have visions and you see all this crazy shit. And this has some fucking outstanding dummy shit happening in it too. Fucking great, dude. It's like
I
really,
think
really
this is
good.
one of the movies I watched towards the end of my prep where I was like, nope, this is the best dummy
Oh
definitely.
my God, this one has 2 good dummies, man. But actually, one of them, he doesn't even die though. It's kind of funny, but anyways, yeah, Autopsy, man. It's a really it's an intriguing Italian film. I mean, I guess you could consider it a giallo, but it's not really a giallo. Like, I don't really even know what you would call this. Like, what would you call this? Because it's technically not a giallo, but it falls into that moniker, and it's actually part of the giallo sets from Vinegar Syndrome. But I wouldn't say this is like a full blown giallo. Would you? I don't know. Fun little fact about this movie, actually, Autopsy, the band, the death metal band, actually named their band after this movie. The Autopsy death metal band, actually, it's the lead singer is one of his favorite movies of all time. And yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing, actually. But I love this movie, man. Visuals, awesome. The kills are cool. But like, just the whole story, like, there's so much fucking happening in here that actually kind of like makes sense. It's trippy. It's a really trippy story. But 9 out of 10 for myself. Really good stuff.
Cool.
All right, number 12. I have another one that nobody's mentioned yet. Making his second appearance on my top 25 is Carlos Enrique Taboada's Rapina. Rapina was actually a movie that was in my top 10 for most of the prep. And it's a movie I ultimately decided by the end of prep that it wasn't horror enough for me to include in this year, but in a week or you, I probably would have. It's kind of like it's like a cool Mexican folk tale about these like woodcutters that live in the mountains, and they're up like towards like the top of the mountain one day, and then you see this fucking cool model plane just like flying like this ridiculous ridiculous like looking like miniature setup, but like it has so much charm, and you clearly this is like a low budget Mexican movie that you just don't give a shit. And it's like the way the plane collapses is like hilarious. You just love it. It's like one of the
Oh yeah,
coolest like model things you'll ever see.
yeah.
But yeah, so they're like, let's go check this fucking shit out. And this is kind of where like some of like the more horror parts come in. Like they do such a good job of creating like this plane crash scene based on like how the model plane broke. And it's actually pretty fucking horrific. Like you see like these dead bodies. There's a couple like survivors gasping for air like they have to finish off. And basically they rob all their shit. And then these other like poor guys come and find like, hey, you guys can't carry all this shit. Can we rob some stuff too? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they all kind of help each other out, and they form this uneasy alliance. And then the first guys that go up there were like, fuck these guys, and they just kill the other dudes on the spot, out of like paranoia that he's gonna rat them out. And they steal all like as much stuff as they can and go back to their Mexican villa, and then try to like it becomes this kind of like paranoia game where like they know they're trying to wait out like the city, like now finding the plane and going up there and investigating and finding everything. And it's this it gets like to be this like cool like psychological like folktale. It's in the Mexican Gothic set, like from this Carlos Taboada guy. So like I always was like, this is whatever, this is fucking close enough. But it's really interesting. The ending is honestly kind of a horror ending too. It's pretty fitting with the type of tale it is. But yeah, if you pick up that set, like we're all recommending, this movie's on there too. And this movie was definitely my favorite of the two I watched for this year. And yeah, I'm gonna give Rapina an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, like I
Cool.
said, it's one of the most solid box sets that Syndrome has actually released for like its entirety. All three films are good. Good stuff. Yeah, like the third act in that movie just goes fucking batshit, dude. Like this guy, like I love this. I love the the commentary and like the just the greed factor, but like it makes kind of sense of where they come from. Like if you
Mhm.
have access to something like that, like wouldn't you want to do that too? But I get it though.
Yeah,
Like he becomes overwhelmed with greed, and it consumes him. Like it takes
yeah,
over his whole mentality, right? Like he's just fucking hell bent on the greed, and it's pretty interesting. Great setting though. Love the setting.
yeah, love it.
All right, so Tony's number 11 is the Stepford Wives with a number 8. Fuck, he had eights from 18 down to 11.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Stepford Wives number 11. JP.
All right, and my number 11 or number 1 for this list is The Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Ah,
So was this ever in your top 10?
close.
So it was a later watch, like towards the end.
It is so fucking
But
good, man.
I just like I don't know, like I wanted to have a UFO incident so bad on my list. I didn't know what to take off. So but I also think that had I spent more time with the movie,
Mhm.
because even after talking with you guys, same thing with Solo, it made me like the movie more like during the show
Right.
because it was a first time watch and also like I didn't have a lot of time for it to like digest because I think I watched it on like probably like Friday or something and we recorded on Saturday or it was like Thursday so it was like just a couple days before um but yeah it's a really good movie and I think that over time I'll probably like it more if I do a rewatch or something. Probably could have made my top 10. Obviously it's number 11 so it's pretty close but um yeah, it's probably a better film than UFO Incident, definitely. But I love that movie, so I put it on there. But yeah, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, UFO Incident was the only movie I didn't see on any top 10 too.
Damn. No, you didn't watch that Tony movie, did you?
Yeah,
His
I
number
watched
10.
The Alice Cooper movie. I watched that.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay.
Um, all right. So actually, a film surprisingly has never been mentioned. Like fucking crazy. Actually, this one was in my top 10 for a long time too, which is a film from Japan,
Yeah, I knew this is what it was going to be.
and it's Wolf Guy with the
I did
fucking.
not like Wolf Guy.
Oh
It's
my
my 20. It's my 28.
dude, I love Sonny Chiba so much, man. This movie's fucking weird too. Like if you're a fan of Sonny Chiba at all, like this is a weird movie for him to be in, man. It's fucking strange. It's super fucking strange. I think that's why I like it because I've seen a lot of Sonny Chiba films, and this one just really sticks out to me as being such a bizarre entry into like his career. It's so fucking weird. Like he basically plays the sole survivor of this like wolf tribe that was like slaughtered and shit like that. And it's like in the present day. And he plays like an investigator and he's investigating like these murders that are happening through what they want to call like these kind of cat murder or tiger murders or whatever. These people are being killed by like this tiger and shit, like this supernatural tiger and shit. So he gets all entangled in this and stuff like that and just kind of spirals from there. But it's a short and long of it. But it's got this whole supernatural type elements to it and stuff like that. And of course, it has the very typical Sonny Chiba elements where you're going to see some, kung fu and karate fighting and shit like that in it. It's a mismatch of like genres. It's got the horror elements to it. It's got like, the whole action, kung fu, that type of shit going on. It's really fucking highly entertaining, man. I remember when Arrow put this one out years ago. I'd never seen this one before. And I fell in love with it because I was like, this is bizarre. Like, I can't even believe Sonny Chiba actually starred in this movie. Again, it's just always. So, JP, what didn't you like about this one?
I don't remember, but I didn't like it.
Weird. Did you like this one, Tyler?
Yeah, it's my 28.
Yeah. Um, it's fun, man. It's fucking fun, and I think the whole third act is crazy too, man. Like, it's
This
just
was also a movie that was in the string of movies I watched where I was like, that's the best dummy death of the year.
yeah,
So
there,
it had
yeah,
good ones.
yeah. There's some of those too. Yeah, yeah. But no, there's some good fight sequences in this one. I really like the whole angle of like this drug addict being putting this curse on on this fucking the Yakuza members or whatever and like killing. I love that whole idea, man. It's so supernatural and so out there and so ridiculous that like it just fucking works for me. And the fact that it's like tiger and I don't know, man. It just everything about this movie kind of works for me. It's fun as hell. I think JP just didn't understand it, so he doesn't like it. Just like Footprints on the
Probably.
Moon. But there is a lot going on. There honestly is quite a bit going on. If you're not paying attention, I can see from scene to scene, like if you miss a certain things, like especially like the scene where, he talks to the dude in the car and stuff like that, it kind of gives a big part of the narrative. Like if you kind of don't really interpret that properly, then you might miss kind of some elements of the film. But Wolf Guy, big fan of this film. So another 9 out of 10. It was a film that was in my top 10 forever, but ultimately Mummy's Revenge and Psychic Killer and Ilsa and Killer Dolls just kind of took over.
Makes
in my top
sense.
10. Like those ones just kind of like they were all in and out. And like it was crazy because like I don't remember any other top 10 shows where I shifted so many movies in and out of the top 10 and right before the show too. Like Autopsy was in there, ended up at number 12. I'm like, fuck, it could have been number 11. Who knows? But Wolf Guy number nine or number 11, 9 out of 10.
All right. Number 11, we have the movie that would have been my number nine if we had recorded the week earlier that I had a change of heart on. Uh, and it is John Shelfslinger's The Day of the Locust. Uh,
Yeah, figured.
yeah, trying to stay a little tight-lipped on this, but yeah, I just felt like there is a good like 18 minutes of like maybe even a little bit less, something like that, like 15 to like 18 minutes of like straight bona fide horror in this movie. And there's some like a little bit of breadcrumbs throughout the movie. But I felt like this is such a long movie and it's so much more drama than anything else that like I would feel like kind of disingenuous, like suggesting this movie to a bunch of horror fans. So I felt like this was a better place for it. But yeah, this movie is like the biggest like parallel you can make to a movie like this is probably Mulholland Drive. I would say Mulholland Drive throughout is a much more surreal and dark movie. This movie is less of a horror movie throughout, but this has like a shot bang horror part of the movie that
Right.
like would put I would say it because of that it's more of a horror movie. Yeah, but it's really it's kind of like an interesting character piece about just like aging stars that never made it when the trans it's like what during the transition from silent films to talkies. And like Karen Black's kind of like that character that we talked about that she's like not as she's been in a couple of silent movies, but she's not getting off the ground because she's actually not a good actor, but she has like the attitude of it because her father, played by what's his name? I'm forgetting it right now. The dude, the trainer in Rocky. Uh, he's a fucking great actor. He's in the Sentinel
Nick.
too.
Yeah,
No, he's well, I can't remember his name right now. I love this
I can't
guy.
remember his actual name either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Burgess Meredith. That
Right.
guy.
Burgess Meredith. Yeah.
I love it. He actually got nominated for an Oscar for his little part.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
good in this, man. Really, really good. Yeah.
yeah, it's like he's great. He's not even in the movie much, but he makes an impact. But he was like a talented like vaudeville star that was too old,
Right.
like once like a transition. And then like you have this struggling, the character of the struggling screenwriter, that's like that falls for the Karen Black character that played by William Atherton. What's his name? Todd Hackett. And he's got some talent, but like he's like fallen to the same thing where he's like thinks he's like cooler than he is. And none of the and then you have like as your third counterbalance character, you have like Donald Sutherland's character, Homer Simpson, who's kind of like a bookworm and he's like a pushover and but he's got money and this weird dynamic performance between like the three like characters and kind of everyone but Donald Sutherland throughout the movie reveals himself to like not be a good person. And this movie's like also suggestive that like Hollywood is a cult. And yeah, there's like it's really interesting. I think like
Yeah.
if you're if like if you're a little bit more into horror adjacent films, it's got a good era Blu-ray, like we said. This is a good one, but this is a good one. I would definitely recommend this one. It would have been my number nine if I had recorded a week earlier. And this movie also kind of pushed Rapine out of my top 10 because if I was going to cheat with a movie, it was going to be this one, and this one was just clear cut better than Rapina to me. So that's how those ended up at 11 and 12. This movie, I definitely would recommend, just not really as a horror movie. Just like, no, you're getting into like a long drama with some horror and like some dark surrealism in it. But I was going to give this one an 8.5. So I would have been nine down at 8.5.
So I had to bring it like when I was watching this movie, I couldn't believe that his character was named Homer Simpson.
Yeah, that's funny. And for The
And
Simpsons. So it's
do you
like
think
it
this
makes you wonder.
do you think the Simpsons ever spoofed this movie like at one point
I
because
don't
the
know because
Simpsons have spoofed
Oh no, there's
everything.
fucking like 1,000 episodes. I'm sure.
this movie wasn't well received when it came out. This movie kind of got buried.
No, but just the simple fact that like you think one of the 10,000 writers that's been on that show throughout the history of the show would have known about this movie and that character's name being Homer Simpson. Do you think
Yeah,
you think they did
probably.
a quick little spoof on Data Locust?
It's possible, but it's also something probably nobody noticed or like nobody understood.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd have to. Yeah, I guess
Like
right.
this movie's obscure now. It was probably more obscure in the 90s, like when there wasn't like a home, like really like this like
But I can't even remember
major web
another
of
movie where there
films.
was a character named Homer Simpson in it, though. Right? Like it just seems like it's an opportunity that you have to take, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. But do you guys actually have a 26 to 30? Like, did you guys?
I
Because
have
I actually
I
I
didn't
compiled it.
rank them, but
yeah,
I
I gave
compiled
I
the
have
some
my
top
whole
30.
I have my whole list
mentions.
ranked. One
Yeah.
second. I have my whole list ranked.
Okay. So, Tony doesn't. So, JP, why don't you just ring off like your five
I'll be
honorable
Honorable
mentions?
mentions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Night of the Seagulls, Blind
Mhm.
Dead, covered it.
Yeah.
Lizzie Borden, the Legend of Lizzie Borden TV movie about Lizzie Borden. I like that one.
I didn't watch that one.
Under the Blossoming Cherry Tree, pretty good. Autopsy, pretty good as well. And I'll go with Blacker Than Night for the fifth one.
Okay. So I actually had mine ranked right to 30. So number 26 was uh Rapina, which I gave an 8 also. So I was still in the eights at there. Sallow was number 27, which was an
I
8.
was like 7 to 6.5 on those, I think.
Yeah. So Sallow was number 27, which Tyler's not even here to be like, holy shit, that was number 27. I just honestly that movie grossed the shit out of me, man. It was fucking gross.
Yep.
It's something I really wouldn't go back to too often. Like I don't.
I said that as
They
well.
they
It's a
they
one
think
and
that's a
done.
fucking comedy. I could not find any humor in it because like I was like, this is disgusting to me. It was fucking. Oh my God. Anyways, number 28 was the Rocky Horror Picture Show because, like I said, I like the first 2/3 of the film. The last third is just not my thing. Number 29, which is down to 7.5, which is Bug, and number 30 was the reincarnation of Peter Proud, with also
Cool.
with a 7.5 out of 10. So I
All
actually
right.
it made a top 30. So you missed that, Tyler. So number 26 was Rapina. Sallow was number 27. Rocky Horror Picture Show was number 28. Bug was 29. And reincarnation of Peter Proud was number 30.
All right. I got 30.
So that
So
was what made up my top. So those are basically just honorable mentions at this point. So
yeah. So mine would be my nights with Sandra. Oh, Susan, Sandra, Olga, and Julie at 26.
yeah, it's that one. I never got to watch it. I couldn't find a copy, and like I know it was on. I know JP has a Blu-ray. Did you like that one,
Mhm.
JP? Did you watch that one?
Yeah, yeah, I do like that one.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that one.
At 27, I had Autopsy. 28, I had Wolf Guy. 29, I had The Killer Must Kill Again. And 30, I had Sudden Fury.
Wow, son, it's crazy like where we fall in some of these films, man. But crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had Sallow at 27, right? So like, I mean, that was what your number two. So it's, like-
Yeah.
it honestly grosses the shit out of me, man. Like it's something I wouldn't go. It's a very, very well made movie, but it's just like, oh my God, dude, it's something that I can't imagine myself going, hey man, I feel like watching Salary now. I just can't do it, dude. I just
It's for
can't
the
do it.
gag value. You gotta show it to people and they'll be like, hey, you gotta check this movie out.
Yeah.
And then like when you go over to your friend's house to like it's like, hey, it's my turn to pick the movie tonight, and you're like, hey, I brought this one, guys.
I think, I mean, honestly, like out of 75, like some of the films that I would be like, if you have a bunch of people over and shit, like I think The Love Butcher would be fun to show with a crowd, right?
I
Because
think
easy to
Salad would be
follow.
fun
It's
to.
got funny parts in it. Like I don't know. I think that'd be fun. Devil's Reign's a good one to throw on too with a crowd. Obviously, I mean, fucking Jaws. You can do Jaws and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
there's not like a lot of like really fun group films like for my top 10. Like maybe The Psychic Killer, you could throw that in there kind of thing, but
Yeah.
maybe Ilsa, you could do that. But like, Night Train Murders, like, do you want to watch it as a group? Probably not, you
Mhm.
know?
You can watch
Actually, Race with
Salads.
the Devil would be a great group film to watch. Because
Yeah, I
that
agree.
kind of
Yeah.
it's fast paced. It's got a lot of great character. I think that would be a good one. Deep Red, no. Honestly, watching Giallos as a group, I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of it because you have to pay attention to it and like,
Well,
Yeah.
people who have like never seen a Giallo tour are gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Psychic Killer, I could watch though, man. Fucking
So yeah, Psych Killer's fun.
yeah.
So I guess that's a bow on 75. We're fucking done with 75. Right?
75
We can move on to 92 now.
is officially a wrap. So we have 92 in the works, but we also have the
59.
retro show, which is 59, which I'm really looking forward to recording. So we'll end up doing 59 before 92, obviously. But I'm looking forward to doing 59 because like the list of films, it's fucking there's a lot of fun ones on there, man. A lot of fun ones, a lot of rewatches. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
I gotta make sure I knock some of those off like during Halloween.
I know. I think we'll do 59 towards the end before we break again, which we haven't even got started on.
It'll be like Mayish probably.
Yeah, it'll be right before we break for the summer or whatever. But yeah,
We have time.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of shows. There's gonna be a lot of shows this season. A ton of shows.
Yeah.
A ton of
And
shows.
also, like I'm actually gonna prep a little for the Christmas show probably. During like November, towards the end of November, early December.
I'm gonna watch some.
I watch all those films anyways throughout
I know, that's what I'm
so
saying.
it's like,
Like,
I mean,
so,
this is
yeah.
my prep is just my normal watch list, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
Like
Yeah.
I have kind of a rotation. Like I don't watch all of them every year except Christmas Eve and Black
Man,
Christmas.
we have so many. We have a top 10 Italian horror month show, which ones we reviewed.
Mhm.
Top 10 Christmas films. We got
Yep.
top 10 of 59 coming up and 92. There's a lot of top 10 shows. Holy fuck.
Top 10, 24.
Top 10, 24.
Oh, and 24, of course. Gotta do
I
That's
was
really
actually
awesome.
gonna suggest we do the top 10 Halloween horror films too, but I felt like that would be too much this year. So
Yeah, well,
maybe
the
we'll do that
Italian
one
one
next
and the
year.
Christmas one, I don't think are like crazy prep, so I'm not
No.
really like.
Well, the
No.
Italian one's it's only so many because it's what we have reviewed during that month over the last
Yeah,
like 10
and
years.
like when you
whatever.
look
So,
at a list of 100, you can probably narrow it down to probably 20 at least.
yeah, and we've reviewed, I think, every one of my favorite Italian films anyways. So it's,
Yeah, the only one would maybe be Salo.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely for you, right? So, yeah, we definitely did not review Salo.
We just did.
I mean, if you want to count that for, but it's
No,
the,
I'm not
the,
gonna-
the fact
Italian horror
it's
film.
during Italian horror month. So all the years of Italian horror month. So this is not Italian horror month. So,
Mm. All
but
right.
yeah, I mean, we definitely covered a fuck ton of films. Actually, that list, I was going through that list going, holy shit, dude. Like, that was a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I feel like
Oh.
we fucking completely handled 75. Like, I don't think there's anything else we could have said about 75 at this point.
Nope.
Which is pretty. It always feels good when we do that because it's like, okay, this year is done and dusted, bro. We're done with it, and some years I feel like we undercut. You know, there's probably a couple years where we could have did an extended list and we got busy and didn't. But
There was one
yeah.
year that we actually
We
slated
kind
to
of
do it, but we ended up not doing it.
We shot put in 2011 pretty quick, honestly.
Oh, 2011, actually, we didn't end up doing it.
We did
extended list.
2011. Yeah, we did 2011 quick. Like we only prepped for that like under 5 months.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a quick turnaround for that one. Yeah, so I'm excited for 92. I think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
fun, good time. I've already
Yeah.
started. I'm not gonna pull what I did this time with
I've got
75,
two
but you gotta
films
admit,
done. I've got two
you gotta
done.
admit, I really did like bust my ass to get like
Yeah.
a respectable prep for 75.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like I said, man, you had 14 after 2 weeks, you had 55 or something. I was like, holy shit, bro. That's a lot of stuff.
57 was my
If
final
we
count,
got
yeah.
if we have a year for these for 92, like I'm probably gonna shoot for like 92 for 92.
I'm
I
not
have
gonna
a
lie.
list of 110 that I think that I would be okay
Yeah.
with watching. I'll probably end up not that high. I don't think I've ever had more than 80.
I'm gonna probably do if I can hit 92, but I mean
I might even consider doing like 100 just because
It's a
I did
the
91
thing
for
that-
91, and that was good enough.
They are easy. A lot of them are easy watches, so that's
Yeah. It
beneficial.
would be more of just be like it would be like an achievement unlock thing, like watch 100 movies for a prep.
Yeah. But I do got to start getting on 24 as well because I'm very low this
Oh,
year because I
yes.
haven't went to the theater like at all. I
I'm
still haven't even
feeling
seen
way better about
Beetlejuice.
that.
I was gonna bring that up actually, man. Like I've watched I think 33, 24 films, but there's 2 in the theater right now. On Tuesday I'm actually gonna go do a double feature of the one with Holly Berry in it and and the
Yeah,
remake
I'm
of
gonna.
that foreign film. I'm gonna just do double feature, get those out of the way. Um, but
I'm
yeah,
gonna
I
see
gotta I
both
gotta
those this
focus on
week.
24 films too, man, because it's,
Yeah.
we're hitting October here, and there's a lot. I have a list of films that I need to watch that people are
I
talking about
have
right
a
now.
whole playlist on
Yeah.
MB of
Yeah.
about like 24 movies that were pretty much just theatrical stuff that I missed.
Yeah,
Like
I've caught
Yeah.
most of
fucking I still
those.
haven't seen Omen, I haven't seen
Oh wow. Yeah. See,
Beetlejuice, I haven't seen
Damn,
I haven't
dude.
seen Beetlejuice, but I'm like gonna go to the theater like 4 times this week.
yeah,
It's
I missed a lot of shit.
Beetlejuice is fun, man. I think the biggest problem with Beetlejuice for myself was like they tried to incorporate way too many storylines, and
Mhm.
it takes away because like you only spend so much time with each storyline kind of thing. But I'm not gonna ruin anything. But
Yeah,
it's still really fucking fun. It totally feels like the original film though. Like Tim Burton's aesthetic of it is
that's
amazing.
awesome,
It's
dude.
odd. It totally feels like it. It's awesome. Yeah, so that
Yeah,
works.
but
But
last year I didn't know I didn't know until like November I was gonna be doing a 2023 top 10. So I was at like
Oh
17
yeah.
movies in November.
Actually, Dave Parker said he might want to join us for that, which I thought was
Yeah, he
cool.
seems excited about it,
I
so that
think
would
he's
be
serious about it because he
cool.
put out a post saying recommend me some 24
Yeah.
films,
Yeah,
and I'm
he
like,
has
oh
a good
shit.
list. Like he posted a
Yeah.
list and he's got like everything pretty much covered on
Yeah,
it.
no,
Really,
he definitely had some. He had a lot of the stuff that I'm waiting to watch and stuff. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
watched.
I
awesome.
was
So
kind of waiting till we like came back like before like I started prepping for it. Other than like the stuff I just naturally saw in the theater. Because I like
Mhm.
usually beforehand we'll like I'll watch like at least one movie from 90 like the year and I'll watch at least one 2023 movie so we have something to talk about.
mm. Yeah, my prep
Yeah,
is ridiculous right now because I'm recording videos for 31 Days of Horror right now and like doing
yeah, dude.
24 prep and doing this and that. I'm
But
like,
you know
holy
what?
shit, I have so many things going on.
This time of year makes me so excited to watch movies though, because it's just like it's like we come back on the show, so we're watching stuff. October hits, I watch stuff naturally, 31 Days of Horrors, and
Yeah.
then Italian month, and then Christmas, like, and then end of year. It's like this is actually like my favorite time period during like 4 month time period during the year because it's just when we get so deep into everything.
Well, September, October, November, December are nuts for us because September we start prepping or we start doing the show. October is October, 31 Days of Horror, and you start doing Halloween shit. November is obviously Italian horror month, and then we got Christmas.
I just said all
Yeah.
that.
I know, it's fucking
Well,
insane.
so
No,
like
I'm just
I
saying it's absolutely fucking insane how like these 4 months just have a format.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like it's just fucking crazy, man. It's so damn busy. But
Yeah. Well,
I
like I
still
was
try to watch other films in there too. Like I
there.
still try to do
Well,
that.
this is the
Like,
thing. Like, I have like a lot of like letterbox challenges that like I'm actually like keeping pace on. I'm gonna finish. I pledged to watch like 200 something movies this year, and I'm actually gonna do it.
Wow.
But like I'm trying really hard to finish my 100 years challenge, which is like 100 movies for the last 100 years, like 1 year each. And like I
Yeah.
made the mistake of like keeping like wicked long movies till the end. Like I banged out this movie this weekend that's like it's a 10-hour movie and I picked the third like it's broken
Dude,
into three parts and I picked
10-hour movie?
yeah, and I picked the third part. It's like a trilogy, but it's like boom, 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 like, and they were made all shot together. And I picked the third part as like as like my like nomination for that year. And I had to bang out like like a 3.5 hour movie, a 3 hour movie, and now another 3.5 hour movie just to get to it.
What the
not only that, but we didn't even mention like the sin bin shows that we,
Oh
we
yeah,
do as
yeah.
well. So we
Those are
haven't
pretty light though. I bang out that prep pretty quick.
Yeah, I
I,
mean with the prep
I
that we do for
actually
this show,
it's
that
so
prep seems light.
interesting. It's so interesting. Like I look forward to that show every month. Like
Yeah,
I actually really enjoy doing that show.
yeah.
And we're gonna have
But
to prep
like,
for that top 10 show too. So we're gonna have to figure out and like
Right. Holy shit.
watch all the other releases from the year that we didn't
Yeah.
end up watching.
but
And like,
this
holy
is like,
shit.
but going back into so like my
So
like
that's
my
another
plan
one. That's
is
fucking 5 or 6 of them.
my
Jesus.
plan is to like have like this like go hard basically until Wasteland like to do as much like films on my film challenges as possible and like finish the
Yeah.
100-year challenge. And then once I come back, I took a whole week of vacation and I just want to fucking start just like spend my week like just like watching a bunch of cool fucking horror shit whenever I buy there and just like
Yeah.
get into the mood and like start like this prep.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of which, I should probably go watch movies.
I gotta go eat, man. I'm starving.
I'm starving too. But
Yeah.
I guess we should end this extended list and extended outro.
Yeah, man. That's gonna conclude 1975 for sure. Like we're done. We are done. We're
Not
done with
saying
this, man.
another
Top 25.
goddamn
Actually, we
word
just
about
did
it.
kind of like a top 30, really,
Yeah,
with the bonus
yeah.
material there. So, um, but yeah, we're out of here, man. We'll catch you in the next episode, which is going to be
Maniac Cop
268 Maniac Cop trilogy. Yeah. So, which is recording. When are we doing that next
next Sunday.
next Sunday?
Yep.
So another thing we got to prep for. So,
Yeah,
Maniac Cop.
all right.
I'm
Oh,
more
So,
so
dude, you
like
know
the
what's awesome
pre-movie
about Maniac Cop? There's a cool Maniac Cop song at the end credits of Maniac Cop 2, I think. It's like a hip hop song about the Maniac Cop.
I'll listen for
who
it.
does that track? Is it fucking
I can't remember. It's been so long.
dude, I oh my god, I can't even remember who does it. It's not like Ishan or something. Is that I can't remember.
No,
But
it's
like
not Isham.
I can't even remember, man. It's been for fucking ever since I've even heard that. I haven't watched Maniac Cop 2 in so long.
I've never seen 2 and 3. I have the first one on Blu-ray though.
I actually think Maniac Cop 2 is really good. And there's a character in Maniac Cop 2, Tyler, who was actually supposed to originally be uh um fucking Frank Zito from Maniac,
Interesting.
played by Joe Spinell, but I don't know if he was, when did he die?
Late 80s.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was because he died or there was like a conflict, but yeah. I'm excited to revisit those. Should be fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen Maniac Cop in a long time. That's kind of like probably like one of those level two like trilogies I haven't seen.
Man,
What, are you still trying to think who did that song?
oh man, is that fucking Yesh? Oh, that's crazy. He did that track.
Who was it?
Oh, okay. No, it's never mind. I don't think it's the same dude. I'd have to look into this more, but no, it's definitely not the same dude. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, so Maniac Cop trilogy coming next week, man. Finally. I think that one's been in the fucking in the realm forever. I think we were gonna do that years ago, but we never did it. But
Yeah. Yeah, because they announced the remake that never happened, so I know we put it off for a little bit because of that,
right,
but yeah.
I forgot about that remake.
So
Yeah.
basically, we'll record next Sunday, and on Monday they'll be like, William Lustig signed a deal to produce new Maniac Cop remake.
Probably like it always happens. Yeah.
Classic.
Oh my
Yep.
God. All right. Well, that's going to conclude episode 267 and a half. I hope you guys enjoyed the video podcast of 1975, 25 to 11.
Actually, send me
Extended
the
list.
audio too, because I'll put the audio on the feed.
Okay. Sounds good. Cool. All right, guys. We're out of here.
Peace.
Deuces.
And later.